Chapter 66. Chapter 66. The Zhu family's patriarch's trap. That's impossible. I've checked every meal we ate. There's no poison at all. The second brother of the Yin Mountain three ghosts called out. Second brother Yin, I know you're an expert in using poison. Moreover, you three ghosts of Mount Yin have roamed the martial world for many years, so you're extremely vigilant. You're not as gullible as these young boys. Soul-devouring banner, I wonder if you've heard of it? Zhu Bing smiled faintly. What? Goo poison, could it be the southern wasteland goo poison? Second brother Yin cried out in alarm. That's right. I've paid a huge price for this soul-devouring banner. The soul-devouring banner is just an extremely tiny worm. It's impossible to distinguish it from food. Moreover, the usual poison testing methods are ineffective. Zhu Bing smiled proudly. Damn it, old man. Hand over the antidote, or I'll exterminate your entire Zhu family. Su Feiyun roared in anger. It's a pity that there's no cure for the soul-devouring banner, Zhu Bing said lightly. What? There's no cure? The faces of the three ghosts of Mount Yin, Su Feiyun, and the woman were as pale as paper, without a trace of blood. Old man, I'm going to kill you. Su Feiyun revealed a look of despair as he roared and pounced toward Zhu Bing. Squeak. At this moment, Zhu Bing suddenly let out a strange sound. As soon as this sound came out, Su Feiyun's body suddenly froze. Then, he held his head with both hands and let out a shrill scream. Arg! Ah! It hurts! Su Feiyun roared loudly. His long sword danced wildly as he slashed. He kept letting out shrill screams. In just a few breaths, when Zhu Bing's voice stopped, Su Feiyun also stopped. However, his eyes were dull, as if he had lost his soul, and he stood there in a daze. Now that you've been poisoned by the soul-devouring banner, you're my puppet. You still want to resist? Zhu Bing sneered. No. The three Yin Mountain ghosts could not believe their eyes. Zhu Bing, there are disciples of the mystical sword sect here, yet you dare to lay your hands on them. If this gets out, your entire Zhu family will be exterminated. Big Boss Yin called out unwillingly. So what if it's the mystical sword sect? As long as he was dead, who would know that the Zhou family was destroyed? Alright, now you guys can go together. Zhu Bing said, and then made a squeaking sound. The Yin Mountain three ghosts and the others let out shrill screams. Attack! Zhou Linshan shouted. He wanted to rush over and stop them, but the three ghosts of Mount Yin had all gone mad. They were incomparably terrifying. They exchanged a few blows with the Zhou clan's people, and the Zhou clan's people were forced back. After being poisoned by the goo, he was not afraid of death, and even his battle strength had increased by a level. However, at this moment, Zhu Bing let out a cry of disbelief. Lu Ming, why are you fine? At this moment, Lu Ming stood there with an indifferent expression, watching everything. What's up? Why am I in trouble? I'm not poisoned. Lu Ming smiled faintly. You're not poisoned? It's impossible. I've checked every time, and you've eaten every single meal. How can you not be poisoned? Zhu Bing cried out in disbelief. Lu Ming and the rest had their own tents. Every meal was delivered by Zhu Bing's men. He would check it every time to ensure that nothing would go wrong. He clearly remembered that Lu Ming would eat it all up every time. Don't tell me you've forgotten that there are things like storage rings in this world. Lu Ming smiled faintly. A storage ring? No wonder. The mystical sword sect's disciples are indeed extraordinary. At such a young age, you even have a treasure like a storage ring. It seems like your status in the mystical sword sect is not ordinary. Zhu Bing came to a realization. Despite all his calculations, he had missed out on the storage ring. Storage rings were not common goods. On the contrary, they were extremely rare and were basically monopolized by the major forces. Even if one had money, one could not buy one. For people like the three ghosts of Mount Yin, they could still take out a few 100,000 taels of Esilavir, but they did not have a storage ring, because there was no place to buy it. There was a price but no market. But why are you so careful? Even if you have a storage ring, you can't possibly not eat it, right? Zhu Bing asked curiously. Because you guys have a problem. Lu Ming smiled faintly. From the first day we set off, I already felt that something was wrong. The dignified lady of the Zhu family actually did not dare to let others meet her. Although you said that it was because she was not feeling well, I had no choice. I am a very careful person, so I could only eat the rations that I brought. After that, Chen Xen was killed, which made him even more suspicious. I observed on the way that Chen Xen kept looking at the carriage. I guess that this old man is a lecher and has seen the Zhu family's eldest daughter before. So that night, Chen Xen probably couldn't control his lust and wanted to touch the Zhu family's eldest daughter. He must have found out that the Zhu family's young miss was a fake, so he was killed to silence her. How could an ordinary person kill him so easily? Now that I think about it, the one who killed him was you. Also, as far as I know, your Zhu family is not weak, but you only sent a few guards to escort me, and they are all so weak. This is even more suspicious. With so many suspicious points, how would I dare to eat the food you send? Lu Ming's analysis was clear and logical. Sigh, it's not easy to earn some money these days. In the end, Lu Ming let out a long sigh. I didn't think that you would be so meticulous at such a young age. But so what if you weren't poisoned? Today you'll still die. Zhu Bing's eyes were filled with killing intent. With a move of his hand, a long spear appeared in Zhu Bing's hand. Do it. Under Zhu Bing's command, the experts of the Zhu clan took action one after another, fighting with the people of the Zhou clan. At the same time, he made a squeaking sound. The three ghosts of Mount Yin roared like wild beasts and pounced on Zhou Linshan and the 7 elders of the Zhou family. A chaotic battle began. The moment they made a move, the Zhou family was at a complete disadvantage. The three ghosts of Mount Yin were not afraid of death. They exploded with terrifying combat strength and entangled Zhou Linshan and the Zhou family elder. However, the Zhu clan elder was able to free up his hands and kill the other Zhou clan experts as easily as taking something from his pocket. Lu Ming, I'll personally send you on your way. Bang! Zhu Bing stomped his feet and dashed towards Lu Ming like a cannonball. The long spear in his hand was like a bolt of lightning, aiming straight for Lu Ming's throat. Whoosh! The sword was unsheathed, and the sword light burst out, clashing with the spear. With a clang, Lu Ming did not move, but Zhu Bing took 3 steps back. Zhu Bing's eyes revealed a look of disbelief as he roared, "How is that possible? How can a mere 5th-grade Master Realm cultivator be this strong?" He was at the early phase of the 7th-grade Master Realm, 2 levels higher than Lu Ming. It was simply unbelievable that he was forced to retreat by Lu Ming in one move. Even a disciple of the mystical sword sect couldn't possibly be this powerful, right? Compared to Ning Feng, I'm still a little lacking. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Although Zhu Bing's cultivation was the same as Ning Feng's, his combat strength was definitely not on par with Ning Feng's. The disciples of the mystical sword sect were naturally not something that these small families could compare to. Chapter 67. Chapter 67. Chapter 67. Killing Zhu Bing. Kill him. He must be killed. Lu Ming is definitely the top genius of the mystical sword sect. If he escapes, the Zhu family will be annihilated. Zhu Bing roared in his heart, and the killing intent in his eyes became even more intense. Boom! A powerful aura burst forth as Zhu Bing unleashed the power of his bloodline. Zhu Bing's bloodline was a red snake, which was a 3rd-level bloodline. After it was activated, it would increase his combat power by 30%. The Fire Gun Technique Fire Dance. Zhu Bing charged at Lu Ming. With a swing of the spear in his hand, flowers of flames appeared and enveloped Lu Ming's body. Ultimate Flowing Light. Lu Ming cast the fastest move of the lustrous sword technique and slashed out sword beams at the flame flowers. Clang! Clang! A concentrated sound of collision was heard. Sparks flew in all directions and Lu Ming's figure retreated several steps. What a powerful spear technique! The power of this spear technique has already surpassed my current moonbeam sword technique. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. He had already cultivated the lustrous sword technique to the 5th level. Could it be that Zhu Bing had also cultivated a yellow-level upper-class martial arts technique and had already cultivated it to the 6th level? Otherwise, how could he be so strong? Fire gun art lightning chase. Zhu Bing's body swayed slightly and he thrust his spear at Lu Ming again. The speed of the spear was unbelievably fast, like a red lightning. The long spear pierced through the air, making an ear-piercing sharp sound. Lu Ming took a step forward and used the dragon serpent steps to avoid the sharp edge. Buzz! Fire gun art moon pulling. As his spear missed, Zhu Bing's spear momentum changed and swept out. The long spear swept out like a crescent moon. Clang! Lu Ming blocked the attack with his long sword. At the same time, he retreated rapidly, using the force to dissipate the force. This Zhu Bing's actual combat strength is not as strong as Ningfeng's. However, with this spear art, his strength is slightly above Ningfeng's. This won't do. I have to end this quickly. Lu Ming's mind was racing. At this moment, the Zhou family was already at a complete disadvantage. They could not wait any longer. Otherwise, when the elders of the Zhu family were free to attack him together, he would have a headache. At the thought of this, Lu Ming dashed towards Zhu Bing with a flash of blood-red light on his body. Bloodline explosion. The fire gun art broken armor. Zhu Bing's spear was aimed at Lu Ming. The tip of the spear had a spinning cutting power. However, Lu Ming did not care. He just had to avoid the real tip of the spear. Clang! He swung his long sword and blocked the tip of the spear. Then, Lu Ming glided along the spear and threw a punch. He completely ignored the spinning cutting power that erupted from the long spear. Lu Ming now had a 4th-level blood meridian. When his blood meridian exploded, his combat strength increased by 40%. There was no way to block this punch. Although Zhu Bing struck out with his other hand, he could only use 50% of his essential qi in a hurry. How could he block Lu Ming? Bang! With a loud boom, Zhu Bing's body trembled violently and he was forced back a dozen steps. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. Buzz! Lu Ming used the dragon serpent steps, covering 70 feet with a single step. He appeared in front of Zhu Bing in an instant, and a ray of sword radiance flashed past like a flying immortal. Poochie! Zhu Bing's head flew far away, and his eyes were wide open in disbelief. The Zhu family's patriarch, Zhu Bing, was killed by Lu Ming with a single slash despite all his efforts. This Zhu family's patriarch actually has a storage ring. I'm lucky. He had clearly seen that the Zhu family's patriarch's spear had appeared out of thin air. However, thinking about it, the Zhu family's patriarch had lived for so many years. It was still possible for him to find a way to get a storage ring. Lu Ming walked to the front of Zhu Bing's corpse and took off a ring on his finger. He kept it in the supreme shrine and a devouring force was produced, devouring Zhu Bing's blood essence. Forefather. The ancestor is dead. The Zhu family's patriarch was killed, and the Zhu family was in chaos. Roar. Kill. Without the Zhu clan's patriarch's control, the 3 ghosts of Mount Yin immediately roared and attacked in a disorderly manner. No matter if it was the Zhu family or the Zhou family, they attacked without any pattern, like a few wild beasts that had gone mad. Retreat. At this time, Zhou Linshan and the rest of the Zhou family retreated quickly and then attacked the rest of the Zhu family. Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning as he scanned his surroundings. He sneered, Zhu family, oh Lu Ming, am not that easy to deceive. If you lie to me, you have to pay the price. Buzz. Lu Ming's body flickered as he charged at the Zhu family elders. The Zhu family's elders were all at the 6th grade master realm, but they were no match for Lu Ming. Lu Ming's sword light left a trail of corpses in its wake. Their blood essence had been devoured by Lu Ming. After killing a few Zhu family elders, Lu Ming did not continue to attack. Instead, his body flashed and he focused on devouring the blood essence of those who had already died in battle. As long as they were martial masters or above, he would devour their blood essence. And NBSP, hoo-hoo. Waves of energy gushed out from his blood and surged into his body. Lu Ming absorbed them and turned them into essential qi. When all the blood essence was refined, Lu Ming's cultivation level rose to the peak of the middle 5th grade master realm. He was just one step away from the late 5th grade master realm. At this moment, the battle was coming to an end. The Zhu family's patriarch and a few other elders were all killed by Lu Ming. How could the remaining few elders be a match for Zhou Linshan and the rest? They were also killed one by one. When the other Zhu clan disciples saw the situation, their morale completely fell and they fled for their lives. Corpses were left on the mountain path and in the forest. The smell of blood filled the air, making it look like a purgatory on earth. In this battle, the Zhu family left behind more than 200 corpses, and the Zhou family also lost more than 100 people. However, none of the Zhou clan's higher-ups were dead, while almost all of the Zhu clan's higher-ups were dead. One could imagine that after this battle, the Zhu family was bound to be swallowed up by the Zhou family. However, Lu Ming was not concerned about all this. Roar! The three ghosts of Mount Yin, Su Feiyun, and the others were still roaring, but they had obviously exhausted all their strength. They lay limply on the ground and soon stopped breathing. This young hero, thank you for saving me this time. At this moment, Zhou Linshan walked over and cupped his fists at Lu Ming. He bowed to him and expressed his sincere gratitude. If Lu Ming had not made a move and killed the Zhu family's patriarch and a few elders, the outcome would have been completely reversed. He was sincerely grateful to Lu Ming. You're welcome, Zhou family head. I was only protecting myself. A faint smile appeared on the person's face as he cupped his hands in greeting. Zhou Linshan smiled faintly. However, when his gaze fell on the long sword in Lu Ming's hand, his expression changed and he cried out, "The Heavenly Star Sword, why is the Heavenly Star Sword in your hands?" As soon as he said that, Lu Ming's heart trembled. His eyes lit up and he said, "How do you know the name of this sword? Do you know my father?" "Your father? Could it be that your brother Yuntian's son?" Zhou Linshan was pleasantly surprised. "That's right, I'm Lu Yuntian's son." Lu Ming fixed his gaze on Zhou Linshan. "Haha, I was the one who personally gave this Heavenly Star Sword to your mother. How could I not know what this sword is called?" Zhou Linshan laughed out loud, looking very excited. Chapter 68. Chapter 68, News of Lu Yuntian. Upon hearing this, Lu Ming's eyes widened and he said anxiously, "You're saying that you were the one who gave my mother this sword?" "Not bad." Zhou Linshan stroked his beard and nodded. "I remember that there was a bronze pendant besides this sword." Lu Ming had no more doubts. He cupped his fists and said, "Lu Ming greets the Zhou family head." It's been so many years since we last met. I didn't expect you to be so old and have such a profound cultivation base." Zhou Linshan laughed and said, "Let's go over there and talk." Soon after, the two of them arrived at a hillside. Zhou Linshan told Lu Ming about him and Lu Yuntian. As it turned out, more than 8 years ago, when Zhou Linshan was out traveling, Lu Yuntian was the one who saved him when he was in danger. Later on, the two of them got along well and became close friends. About 7 years ago, Lu Yuntian found Zhou Linshan and handed him 2 items. One of them was the Heavenly Star Sword, and the other was a bronze pendant. He also told Zhou Linshan that if anything happened to him, he should wait for 2 years before giving the 2 items to Li Ping secretly. Lu Ming came to a realization. It was no wonder that Lu Yuntian had sent these 2 items 2 years after he had spread the news that something had happened. Before this, he had found it strange. "Zhou family head, I want to know, how did my father die? Who killed him?" Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with killing intent. Since Lu Yuntian had given these 2 items to Zhou Linshan in advance and even said that something would happen to him, it was obvious that Lu Yuntian knew that someone was going to deal with him. That was why he had made such preparations. Who was it that wanted to deal with Lu Yuntian? Perhaps Zhou Linshan knew something. Sure enough, Zhou Linshan frowned and hesitated for a long time before he said, "Lu Ming, your father might not be dead." Boom, boom, boom. It was as if thunder had exploded in Lu Ming's heart. "I'm not. He didn't die?" Lu Ming's pupils dilated rapidly. Then, his heart was filled with ecstasy. "Zhou, Uncle Zhou, are you saying that my father is not dead? Then where was he? Why didn't you come home for so many years?" Lu Ming's heart was trembling. Even his voice was trembling. "If I'm not wrong, Brother Yuntian should be under someone's control." Zhou Linshan thought for a while and said, "Controlled? Who is it?" Lu Ming clenched his fists so tightly that his knuckles cracked. His eyes were red as he asked. Zhou Linshan furrowed his brows. After a while, he said, "Nephew, I can tell you, but you have to promise me that you won't act rashly. Otherwise, you'll just die in vain. Otherwise, I'd rather not tell you than let you die in vain." Lu Ming took a deep breath and calmed himself down. "Uncle Zhou, don't worry. I won't act rashly before I'm strong enough." Seeing the determination in Lu Ming's eyes, Zhou Linshan heaved a long sigh. "All right, I'll tell you. Brother Yuntian is most likely in the imperial capital, and the person who did this should be someone from the 10-Direction Sword School." The imperial capital. The 10-Direction Sword Sect. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly emitted a shocking glow. Zhou Linshan was shocked. He quickly said, "The Burning Sun Empire's capital is now under the control of the 10-Direction Sword Sect. The 10-Direction Sword Sect is the leader of the 5 great sects of the Burning Sun Empire. You must not act rashly." "Don't worry, Uncle Zhou. I know what to do." Lu Ming took a deep breath. Among the 5 major sects of the Blazing Sun Empire, the 10-Direction Sword Sect was ranked first. They occupied a large area of rich land in the middle of the Blazing Sun Empire. Their strength was so great that even the mystical sword sect was far inferior to them. He naturally wouldn't rashly go to save her. Otherwise, she would probably be killed before even seeing his father. His current strength was many times weaker than the entire 10-Direction Sword School. If father is really just being controlled and hasn't been killed for so many years, then it's obvious that father has something that the 10-Direction Sword School needs. Then, nothing will happen after this. However, no one can guarantee such things. Strength. I have to improve my strength as soon as possible. If I'm strong enough now, I can directly kill my way over to the imperial capital and the 10-Direction Sword School. But it won't take long, father. I'll definitely save you. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. His eyes were filled with determination and his body was filled with a strong fighting spirit. That's good. AI, it's all my fault for not being strong enough. All these years, I've missed my younger brother Yuntian, but I was unable to save him. Today, I was even saved by my nephew. I really owe you and your father too much. Zhou Linshan sighed. Uncle Zhou, how can you be blamed for this? After all, the other party is the 10-Direction Sword School. I'm already very grateful that you can help give us the sword. Lu Ming consoled her. However, Zhou Linshan continued to sigh. After a while, he asked, Nephew, where do you plan to go next? I'm planning to go to the Dark Blood Mountain. There's a mission to do there. Lu Ming did not hide anything. Dark Blood Mountain? It's not far from here, but there are many demonic beasts in the Dark Blood Mountain, so nephew must be careful. I'm going to send little Ro back now. Her father needs the vitality supplement pill. Nephew, come visit the Zhou family when you have time. Zhou Linshan invited. All right, I'll definitely visit you when I have time. Lu Ming will take his leave now. Lu Ming cupped his fists and saluted. Then, in a flash, he chose a green scale horse on the mountain road and rode on it, continuing to head towards the direction of the Dark Blood Mountain. Looking at Lu Ming's back view, Zhou Linshan's eyes shone with anticipation. He muttered to himself, Brother Yuntian, nephew Lu Ming has joined the mystical sword sect. He has such a high cultivation base at such a young age. Perhaps he can really save you in the future? The green scale horse galloped madly for more than 100 miles before Lu Ming stopped in a valley. Lu Ming sat on a green rock, in a daze. More than 6 years ago, when he first found out about Lu Yuntian's accident, he did not believe it. He didn't believe that the indomitable man in his eyes would die. However, as time passed, there was still no news of Lu Yuntian. Lu Ming gradually believed that Lu Yuntian had really died. However, today he suddenly learned that Lu Yuntian might still be alive. He was extremely excited. If Mother knows about this, she'll be so happy. No, I can't let Mother know for now. If Mother knows that Father is in the hands of the 10-Direction Sword School, she'll be even more worried. Father, you must wait for me. Ming, will definitely save you. People from the 10-Direction Sword sect, I, Lu Ming, swear that no matter who you are, I will make you pay the price. Lu Ming's thoughts drifted. He recalled the days when Lu Yuntian was still around. Lu Ming did not know how long had passed before he snapped out of his thoughts. Then, with a thought, Lu Ming appeared in the Supreme Shrine. He was currently on the Supreme Shrine's second platform. As for the third platform, he still couldn't get up there. He didn't know what cultivation level he would need to get up there. After that, Lu Ming picked up the storage ring that he had obtained from Zhu Bing. What could be in the storage ring of the Zhu family's elder? Chapter 69. Chapter 69. Chapter 69 Fire Gun Art. His mind sank into the storage ring and a small space was reflected in Lu Ming's mind. The space was about the size of a square, about the same size as the storage ring he had obtained from Duanmuju. There were a few boxes scattered inside. With a wave of his hand, these boxes appeared on the Supreme Shrine's platform. First of all, a small and exquisite box came into Lu Ming's sight. Because this box was lined with gold, it looked luxurious and extraordinary. After opening the box, it turned out to be a book. The fire gun art was a martial skill. Lu Ming could not help but think of the spear technique that Zhu Bing had performed previously. Wasn't it called the fire gun technique? He still remembered the power of that spear art. He opened it with some anticipation. At first glance, Lu Ming was shocked. A profound rank martial skill. This spear technique was actually a profound rank martial skill. Black-grade low-level martial arts technique, fire gun technique. No wonder it's so powerful. It's actually a black rank martial arts technique. I'm going to hit the jackpot. Lu Ming was overjoyed. A black-grade martial skill was many times more precious than a yellow-grade martial skill. Lu Ming could not wait to read it. The more he read, the more shocked he was. What a powerful force. There's no way to compare it with a yellow-grade martial skill. The difference is like heaven and earth. That Zhu Bing has probably only cultivated it to the first level and has only just glimpsed the door. Lu Ming muttered to himself. Generally speaking, as long as one could cultivate a black-grade low-level martial arts technique to the first level, its power would be comparable to the 6th level of a yellow-grade high-level martial arts technique. The first level was already comparable to the 6th level of a yellow-grade high-level martial arts technique. One could only imagine how powerful a black-grade martial arts technique was. But at the same time, the difficulty of cultivating black-level martial arts techniques was many times more difficult than yellow-level martial arts techniques. It was difficult for a normal Master Realm warrior to successfully cultivate it. Unless he was a top genius. Zhu Bing had trained hard for decades, but he had only managed to cultivate to the first level. I wonder how many contribution points it would cost to exchange for a black-rank martial arts technique in the Mystic Essence Sword Sect's library. It's a pity that it's a spear technique and I'm a sword practitioner, so I can't cultivate it. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. Wait. Lu Ming's eyes darkened and then lit up. He muttered, "Who said I'm a swordsman? The true war dragon technique that I've been cultivating has produced dragon-shaped true chi, and my spear is like a dragon. Perhaps, I've been going in the wrong direction all this time." Since he was young, Lu Ming had always wanted to use his sword to travel the world. Naturally, he had a special love for swords. Later on, he obtained the lustrous sword technique from the Supreme Shrine and joined the mystical sword sect. Therefore, subconsciously, Lu Ming felt that he should be a swordsman. However, during this period of time, the lustrous sword technique had been stuck at the 5th level, and it was difficult to break through the 6th level, which was the unity of man and martial arts. He had thought that it was just because he was not mature enough. As long as he cultivated diligently, he would definitely be able to break through. But now that he thought about it, this was probably not the reason at all. It was because the sword technique was not compatible with him at all. If they were not compatible, they would have to spend more time and energy than others to cultivate to the highest realm. Some people were born to practice the sword, while others were born to practice the saber or the spear. Of course, this was related to one's personality, cultivation techniques, and even the bloodline one had awakened. As for Lu Ming, he cultivated the true war dragon technique and had awakened his bloodline. Now that he was a little like a snake, wouldn't he be more compatible with the spear? Lu Ming picked up Zhu Bing's long spear and thrust it forward. Buzz! The long spear pierced through the air and let out a sharp whistling sound. Lu Ming felt that the dragon-shaped vital energy in his body surged out the moment the spear was thrust forward. It burst out along the long spear. Pai Pala! A ray of spear light burst out like a dragon, piercing the air with a crackling sound. My Jinqi is even smoother. It's done in one go. As expected, I'm more suited to spear training. Lu Ming sighed. It seems like I'll have to properly cultivate my spear technique after I return. However, I'll put it aside for now. I'll see what's in the other boxes first. He put the spear down and looked at the other boxes. There were 2 large boxes, and they were all filled with jewelry, gold, and esilavir. The other smaller box was filled with gold and esilavir notes. 1 tael of gold was equivalent to 10 taels of esilavir. After a rough estimate, these chests added up to at least 2 million taels of esilavir. This made Lu Ming ecstatic. 2 million taels of esilavir was equivalent to 20,000 contribution points. How much demonic beast blood essence could it be exchanged for? This wasn't even considered a profound grade martial arts technique, but what about the fire gun technique? This trip was not in vain. However, this time, Lu Ming truly understood the dangers of the world. The competition was intense not only within the mystical sword sect, but in other places. For the sake of survival, for the sake of resources, they would fight and kill without end. Even if you were a disciple of a big sect, if you were a little careless, you would die. Just like this time, Zhu Jiaming knew that he was a disciple of the mystical sword sect, but he still dared to attack. If he was not careful enough, he would have become Zhu Bing's chess piece and died under the poisonous insect. Everyone was fighting hard. If you didn't advance, you would be surpassed by others and become a stepping stone for others. Lu Ming was not willing to be someone else's stepping stone. Therefore he had to work hard. He wanted others to be his stepping stone. After he was done, Lu Ming left the Supreme Shrine and continued his journey to the Dark Blood Mountain. A day later, a majestic mountain range appeared before Lu Ming's eyes. The Dark Blood Mountain was a famous mountain in the eastern part of the Burning Sun Empire. Because the entire Dark Blood Mountain range was dark red in color. The ground was dark red, the rocks were dark red, and even the plants were dark red, as if they had been soaked in blood. That was why it was called Dark Blood Mountain. According to the legends, the Dark Blood Mountain wasn't originally like this. After an unknown period of time, there was once a peerless expert who had a great battle with someone. Fresh blood scattered and seeped into the mountains and rivers, and that was how the Dark Blood Mountain was formed. If this was true, it would be extremely shocking. What kind of existence was this? That's why there was so much blood that dyed the mountains red. Regardless of whether it was real or fake, there were indeed some very strange treasures in the Dark Blood Mountain, which attracted many people to come here to seek for treasures. The blood Reiki flower and the dark bloodstone that Lu Ming needed for the mission were among them. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming dashed into the Dark Blood Mountain. It was indeed very strange. The trees that came into view were all dark red, and the stones under his feet were also dark red. Lu Ming kept moving forward, his eyes searching everywhere to see if he could find the blood Reiki flower. Buzz! Suddenly, a ray of red light shot toward Lu Ming. Buzz! The sword was unsheathed, and the red light was cut in half. It was a dark red scorpion. The scorpion was poisonous. Lu Ming slowed down and observed his surroundings carefully. After a few miles. Roar! More than 10 giant wallevers with dark red fur surrounded Lu Ming. This was the unique dark blood wolf of the Dark Blood Mountain. It was 1.5 meters tall and 3 meters long. It was extremely powerful. Every one of them was a Class 1 Level 2 demonic beast, and there were even a few Class 2 Level 2 demonic beasts. Roar! More than a dozen dark blood wallevers pounced on Lu Ming. Chapter 70. Chapter 70. The Strange Blood-Colored Liquid. Ultimate Flowing Light. The sword light flashed like lightning across the sky, bringing with it streams of blood. When the sword light faded, the dozen dark blood wallevers had all been killed. At once, Lu Ming controlled his blood meridian and devoured all the blood essence of the dark-blooded wallevers. The blood essence of this dark blood wolf is so rich in life essence. Lu Ming's eyes lit up during the refining process. He discovered that the life essence contained in the blood essence of the dark blood wolf was double that of other demonic beasts of the same level. The blood essence of a Class 1 second-level dark-blooded wolf was almost as good as the blood essence of other Class 2 second-level demonic beasts. A dark blood wolf at the second grade of the second level was almost as powerful as a demonic beast at the third grade of the second level. Could it be that all the demonic beasts in the Dark Blood Mountain are like this? The life essence contained in the blood essence is even denser than the demonic beasts outside? Lu Ming guessed in his heart. Then, they continued to move forward. Along the way, they encountered many demonic beasts, all of which were killed by Lu Ming. As expected, the demonic beasts here, regardless of their species, contained a much richer essence. However, most of them were Class 1 or Class 2 demonic beasts. A small number of them had only reached the 4th or 5th grade of the second level. The improvement Lu Ming could make was very limited. Just like that, Lu Ming hunted demonic beasts in the Dark Blood Mountain while searching for the blood Reiki flower. However, 3 days had passed and Lu Ming did not even find a single blood Reiki flower. The efficiency was really bad. As for the dark blood stone that Lu Ming needed the most, there was no trace of it. Lu Ming had no choice but to continue searching and treat it as cultivation. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days had passed. In total, Lu Ming had been in the Dark Blood Mountain for 10 days. At this moment, Lu Ming finally found a blood Reiki flower. On the other hand, his cultivation had already reached the 5th grade Master Realm Advanced stage, and he wasn't far from reaching the pinnacle. A dark red python slithered quickly with Lu Ming hot on its heels. This giant python was a demonic beast at the peak of 6th grade second level. It was rare to encounter such a high-level demonic beast in the Dark Blood Mountain, so Lu Ming did not want to let it go. However, the giant python was extremely fast. With a twist of its body, it covered a distance of tens of meters. Lu Ming could not catch up to it in a short time even with his dragon serpent steps. The snake and the human kept running forward. Before he knew it, he had run for dozens of miles and arrived at a dense forest. At this time, the giant python's speed gradually slowed down. "Let's see where you can run to now." Lu Ming smiled and the sword gleam slashed at the giant python. "Cece!" The giant python hissed and spat out wisps of poisonous gas at Lu Ming. Lu Ming dodged it in a flash. Then he took a step forward and rushed toward the python. A sword light flashed and left a long wound on the python's body. Fresh blood flowed out. However, at this moment, Lu Ming's expression changed. He felt a burning pain on his skin, as if he was being corroded by something. "What's going on?" Lu Ming was shocked. "I clearly avoided the python's poisonous gas. How did this happen?" Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning as he scanned the surroundings. At this moment, he realized that there was a faint dark red blood aura in the air. If one did not pay attention, one would not be able to tell. Could it be that this blood qi is poisonous? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He immediately circulated his essential qi and spread it throughout his body to resist the blood qi. When the blood qi collided with the genuine qi, it actually made a sizzling sound, as if it was corroding the genuine qi. What a powerful poisonous gas. At this moment, the giant python was dragging its injured body and slithering forward. Lu Ming swung his sword and cut off the giant python's head. Then, with a thought, the small snake-like bloodline appeared and opened its mouth. 9 drops of blood essence flew out of the giant python's body and were swallowed by the small snake. However, it was not over yet. The small snake opened its mouth again and sucked in the red blood qi beside Lu Ming. Then, a sizzling sound could be heard as if the blood qi was being refined. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. This worked too. However, in this way, there was no blood qi around Lu Ming's body. The feeling of corrosion on his skin had also disappeared. That's good too. I can see what this place is. Lu Ming revealed a smile on his face. He continued to move forward. The further he went, the thicker the red blood qi became. However, the small snake kept absorbing it. There was always a vacuum around Lu Ming's body that prevented the blood qi from entering. When this blood qi was devoured and refined by the spirit-devouring bloodline, it would also be transformed into wisps of energy. However, this energy was not very strong and was not of much use to the improvement of cultivation. After walking for a few thousand meters, he smelled a faint scent of blood. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. After walking another 100 meters, a pool of water appeared in front of him. The pool wasn't big, about 10 meters in length and width. However, it wasn't water in the pool, but a dark red liquid. The pool was filled with a dark red liquid that looked like blood. The faint smell of blood was obviously coming from the pool. The blood qi in the air was also emitted from this pool. By the side of the pool, there were many small red flowers. Lu Ming was overjoyed at the sight of the flowers. Blood reiki flowers, these are all blood reiki flowers. Haha, I've really worn out my iron shoes and searched high and low for them, but I found them without any effort. Lu Ming laughed heartily. Following that, Lu Ming walked to the side of the pond and picked the fruits carefully. The liquid in the pool was obviously poisonous. Lu Ming did not want to come into contact with it. Half an hour later, Lu Ming had picked all the blood spirit flowers by the pond. There were a total of 54 of them. In addition to the one he had found earlier, there were 55 of them. This was a huge harvest. One herb was 100 contribution points, so 55 of them would be 5,500 contribution points. After picking them, Lu Ming looked at the liquid in the pool. Although the liquid was highly toxic, it obviously contained a powerful energy essence. Otherwise, it would not have been able to produce so many blood reiki flowers. Can the spirit-devouring bloodline devour and refine this liquid? Lu Ming started to think. Let's try devouring a drop first. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. It was impossible to improve his cultivation quickly and walk the path of a martial arts powerhouse without taking some risks. Lu Ming immediately circulated his essential qi and scooped up a drop of red liquid. He then controlled his blood meridian and swallowed the drop of liquid. Lu Ming seemed to be able to feel a sizzling sound in his blood vessels. Then, a wave of energy surged into Lu Ming's body. It really works. Lu Ming was overjoyed. At once, Lu Ming sat cross-legged by the pool and controlled his spirit-devouring bloodline to devour and refine the liquid. Of course, Lu Ming did not dare to devour too much at once. He would only devour them in small amounts. It was true that the spirit-devouring bloodline devoured and refined this liquid much slower than the blood essence of demonic beasts. However, it was still many times faster than directly absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth for cultivation. Lu Ming's cultivation level began to increase rapidly again. Half a day later, Lu Ming had reached the peak of the 5th grade master realm. 3 days later, Lu Ming broke through in one go and reached the 6th grade master realm. It was not over yet. Lu Ming continued to cultivate. He cultivated for more than 20 days. In total, Lu Ming had been cultivating here for a month. In a month's time, all the liquid in the pool had been devoured and refined by Lu Ming, leaving only a pit. Lu Ming's cultivation had also reached the early 7th grade master realm. Chapter 71. Chapter 71, Dark Blood Stone. In more than a month, Lu Ming's cultivation had advanced by 2 levels. This speed was already extremely shocking. This liquid might be extremely poisonous to others, but to me, it's a treasure. Unfortunately, it's something that can only be encountered by luck. Lu Ming pondered to himself. Then he opened his mouth and exhaled gently. A beam of air formed and shot out a few meters away like a sharp sword. A 7th grade master realm is indeed powerful. He's so much stronger than a 5th grade master realm. One move is enough for me to fight Ning Feng again. Feeling the dragon-shaped vital energy surging in his body, Lu Ming was overjoyed. Rustle. At this moment, a rustling sound could be heard. The sound came from the pit, and when he looked closer, he saw a dark red worm crawling in the pit. This worm was thicker than a thumb and more than a foot long. Its entire body was crystal clear like blood jade, and it had a mouth of sharp fangs. At this moment, when he saw Lu Ming, he seemed to be shocked. He twisted his body and quickly darted away. This is blood breath bugs. Lu Ming was slightly stunned, then he was overjoyed. According to the ancient records, the blood breath bugs had dark bloodstones as their companions. In other words, the place where the blood breath bugs lived would definitely have dark bloodstones. He had not expected that there would be a blood breath bug in the pond. Lu Ming did not hesitate at all. He rushed over and followed closely behind the blood breath bug. When the blood breath bug saw Lu Ming chasing after it, it twisted its body even faster and rushed forward. Do you think it's that easy to leave? Lu Ming smiled and strode forward, following closely behind the blood breath bug. After about 1,000 meters, the blood breath bug suddenly burrowed into the ground and disappeared. Not good. The blood breath bugs can dig underground. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He rushed over, but the blood breath bugs were nowhere to be seen. Buzz! Lu Ming leaped onto a big tree and scanned his surroundings. Sure enough, not long after, 100 meters away, the blood breath bug's figure emerged from the ground and rushed forward. I can't chase it too close. This will only disturb it and prevent it from running back to its resting place. Lu Ming's figure flashed and he jumped onto another big tree. He leaped on the trunk, restrained his aura, and followed closely behind the blood breath bugs. They crossed over mountains and ridges and continued for dozens of miles. At this time, the blood breath bug stopped again. It burrowed into the ground and disappeared. Could this be the place? Lu Ming pondered. He was not in a hurry to rush out. Instead, he began to observe. After a while, there was still no movement. Lu Ming was certain that this should be the blood breath bug's habitat. Lu Ming moved and came to the place where the blood breath bugs disappeared. Looks like it's here. The dark blood stone should be right below. Then, he took out the black-edged sword he used before and used it as a shovel to start digging. With Lu Ming's cultivation level and the sharpness of the black-edged sword, he was able to dig through the rocky ground at a very fast speed. Soon, a pit several meters deep was dug. At this moment, a red light shot out with a swish. It was the blood breath bug. After the blood breath bug rushed out, it did not stop at all and ran away. Lu Ming ignored him and continued digging. Very quickly, a faint fragrance, like that of sandalwood, wafted out. Lu Ming's spirits were lifted. According to the ancient records, although the dark blood stone was called the dark blood stone, it did not have the slightest smell of blood. Instead, it had the fragrance of sandalwood. Since this smell was coming out, it meant that there was definitely a dark blood stone here. Lu Ming dug even harder. As a piece of rock was dug up, a rich fragrance filled the air. Below him, a stone the size of a fist with blood-red lines all over its body appeared before Lu Ming. This was the dark blood stone. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He took out the dark blood stone and looked at it carefully. This was the true War Dragon technique's third stage, and even the fourth stage required it. He took a look at it and then kept it in the Supreme Shrine. However, at the next moment, Lu Ming's expression changed because the scent of sandalwood was still coming from below. Could there be dark blood stones? Lu Ming was overjoyed and quickly dug with all his might. Sure enough, he didn't dig too deep before he found another dark blood stone. It was still the size of a fist, and it emitted a strong sandalwood fragrance. What great luck! Lu Ming was overjoyed and took out the dark blood stone. However, there was still the fragrance of sandalwood coming from below. There more? This time, even Lu Ming was a little stunned. At this moment, Lu Ming's expression changed because he heard the sound of air breaking coming from all around. There's the smell of sandalwood. It's the dark blood stone. Hurry up! There was a commotion, and then 5 or 6 figures appeared. Buzz. And NBSP, whoosh. In the forest, 6 figures suddenly appeared and surrounded Lu Ming. They did not hide their auras at all. They burst out and enveloped Lu Ming. 4 of them were 7th grade Master Realm, and 2 of them were peak 6th grade Master Realm. There were men and women among the 6, but they were all very young, about 18 or 19 years old. At this moment, the 6 of them were looking at the big pit that Lu Ming had dug with burning eyes. There is indeed a dark blood stone. Kid, you can get lost now. The dark blood stone here belongs to us. A young man with an aquiline nose looked at Lu Ming and said coldly, "Everyone, I was the first to discover this place." Lu Ming smiled faintly. "So what if you discovered it first? It's ours now." The hook-nosed young man sneered, his expression full of pride and arrogance. "So you want to rob me? Let's see if you have the ability to do so." Lu Ming smiled faintly, looking very relaxed. "Brat, you're looking for death." The hook-nosed youth shouted coldly, then clawed at Lu Ming. 5 sharp claw gleams were aimed at Lu Ming's chest. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch. Bang! Gotcha! There was a loud bang, followed by a cracking sound. Then, the hook-nosed young man let out a shrill scream and retreated a dozen steps. One of his hands trembled and blood kept flowing out. His 5 fingers had been broken by Lu Ming's punch. "Brat, how dare you? Do you know who we are? We're disciples of the Azure Dragon Hall of the Mystical Sword Sect. You're dead for hurting me. My hand!" The hook-nosed youth screamed and roared. Azure Dragon Hall disciple? No wonder his cultivation is not weak despite his young age. Lu Ming's expression changed. "I remember now. You are Lu Ming, this year's newcomer king, Lu Ming. I saw you from afar when the last trial ended." Suddenly, a female disciple shouted. "What? He's Lu Ming?" The others couldn't help but exclaim. "I didn't expect that you would still recognize me." Lu Ming touched his nose and smiled faintly. "Lu Ming, although you're the newcomer king, I still have to give you a piece of advice. Get out of the way and leave. We can pretend that today's incident never happened because this dark bloodstone is something senior brother Yao Tianyu needs. We're also looking for it under senior brother Yao Tianyu's orders." The woman said one sentence after another, her tone full of confidence. She felt that as long as she mentioned Yao Tianyu's name, Lu Ming could only get lost obediently. Chapter 72. Chapter 72, Geniuses on the Bronze List. Who knew that Lu Ming's next sentence almost caused her to suffer from internal injuries? Who is Yao Tianyu? It's none of my business that he needs the dark blood stone, but do I need it? I'll let you off on account of us being from the mystical sword sect. Lu Ming waved his hands and said impatiently, "How dare you? Senior brother Yao Tianyu is a genius on the bronze rank, the top of all the bronze disciples. Are you tired of living?" The young woman shouted angrily, her face red. He's on the bronze rank. No wonder he's so arrogant. Lu Ming was slightly stunned. The bronze ranking was a ranking list among the 4 halls of the mystical sword sect. Those who could be listed on this list were all top geniuses among the bronze disciples. Each of them was terrifyingly powerful. He was now standing at the peak of the bronze disciples. But what did it have to do with Lu Ming? He didn't care if he was a disciple of the bronze ranking. Did he think that a disciple of the bronze ranking could snatch his dark bloodstone? When the woman saw Lu Ming in a daze, she thought that Lu Ming was afraid of the bronze list. She sneered and said, "Lu Ming, hand over the dark bloodstones now, then follow us to Kowtow and admit your mistakes to senior brother Yao Tianyu. This way, perhaps senior brother Yao Tianyu can let bygones be bygones." Hand over the dark bloodstone? Kowtow and admit your mistake? Lu Ming looked at the lady with a strange expression, as if he was looking at a fool. He then said, "You're all bronze disciples of the mystical sword sect, but there's something wrong with your brains." The young woman was stunned and only reacted after a long time. She was so angry that her whole body trembled and she screamed, "Lu Ming, what did you say? You're looking for death. Why are you wasting your breath on him? Let's attack together and cripple him. Then, we'll bring him to senior brother Yao Tianyu and let him deal with him." The hook-nosed youngster also shouted with a sinister expression. "Attack!" The 6 of them attacked at the same time and charged toward Lu Ming. Sword chi, saber radiance, claw force, palm wind instantly enveloped Lu Ming's entire body. "You're looking for death." Lu Ming's eyes darkened. With a move of his hand, the star sword appeared in his hand. With a flash of sword radiance, he slashed out more than 10 times in an instant. "Ah! Ah!" With 6 consecutive screams, the 6 youths from the Azure Dragon Hall retreated rapidly. The 6 of them were forced back a dozen steps before they could regain their footing. Each of them had a deep sword wound on their chest, and blood was flowing out. A single sword had injured 6 people. How can he be so strong? How was that possible? More than a month ago, I heard that he defeated Ning Feng, but it was a difficult victory. How could he become so strong in just a month? The 6 young men's faces were pale and their eyes were filled with disbelief. "Go! Let's go! This person can't be defeated!" The woman screamed and quickly retreated. She was almost scared out of her wits. "Buzz! Buzz!" The other 5 didn't dare to stop and ran for their lives. Lu Ming's eyes flickered, but he did not pursue. He wasn't confident that he could keep all 6 of them alive if they scattered. After that, Lu Ming continued to dig. Following that, Lu Ming dug out 2 more dark bloodstones in a row. There were a total of 4 dark bloodstones in this place. "That's enough." Lu Ming laughed. After checking that there were no more dark bloodstones, Lu Ming turned and left. The blood Reiki flower and the dark bloodstone have been found. It's time to return to the sect. Lu Ming smiled. Although there were some twists and turns on this trip, everything was considered smooth. His figure didn't stop, and he headed towards the direction of the Dark Blood Mountain. Along the way, he came across a dark blood wolf that was alone. He tamed it and used it as a mount. That green scale horse had been outside for so long, it had probably run off to who knows where. This dark blood wolf was a demonic beast of 2nd grade 2nd level. It was extremely strong and powerful, far beyond the green scale horse. He crossed mountains and ridges as if he was walking on flat ground. Very quickly, he left the Dark Blood Mountain and headed in the direction of the mystical sword sect. In the depths of Dark Blood Mountain, a figure was sitting cross-legged on a large rock on the peak of a mountain. This figure looked to be only about 17 years old. He was handsome and had a cold expression. He was just sitting there casually, but he exuded a sharp aura. On the side, there were more than 10 young men standing there, not even daring to breathe loudly. These youths included the 6 youths from before. "Senior brother Yao, this is what happened," the hook-nosed youth reported. This cold-looking young man was Yao Tianyu, a genius on the bronze ranking. In the world of martial Tao, the strong came first. Although Yao Tianyu was young, the others still respectfully called him senior brother. Yao Tianyu furrowed his brows and said, "You're saying that there might be more than one dark blood stone there and they're all in Lu Ming's hands now?" "That's right, senior brother Yao. That Lu Ming is extremely arrogant. Not only did he injure us, but he also didn't give you any face at all." But Lu Ming said that Yao Tianyu is something. The hook-nosed young man hurriedly replied. Of course, there were a lot of exaggeration in his answer. The other five's eyes flashed, but they didn't refute the hook-nosed youth. He. After hearing this, Yao Tianyu let out a cold smile and said, "Are all the newcomers so arrogant these days? Lu Ming? Newcomer king? How dare you act so arrogantly in front of me? Let's talk about it in a few years." Then he looked at the crowd and said, "Go and find Lu Ming. As long as he's still in the Dark Blood Mountain, I won't let him return to the Vermilion Bird Hall." "Yes." A dozen of young men replied loudly. Then, their figures flickered and they left the mountain peak, disappearing into the forest of the Dark Blood Mountain. "Lu Ming," Yao Tianyu muttered as a killing intent flashed across his eyes. The Dark Blood Wolf was as fast as lightning, and its speed was much faster than the green scale horse. In less than 7 days, Lu Ming arrived at the sky-crossing city again. When he passed by the Zhu family's residence, he discovered that the house was already empty. Even the main door was covered in cobwebs. It seemed that the Zhu family had already been destroyed by the Zhou family. This was how the divine wilderness continent was. Strength was everything. Every day was filled with killing, and every day, countless forces were destroyed. Lu Ming shook his head. He found a restaurant, ordered some food and wine, and started eating. Unconsciously, his thoughts drifted back to Fiery Wind City. The sky-crossing city is not far from Fiery Wind City. It's only a 3-day journey. I don't need 3 days to ride the Dark Blood Wolf. I might as well go back and see my mother, Lu Ming thought. It had been almost 4 months since he came out. It was time to go back and take a look. He quickly finished his meal, left the restaurant, and headed towards Fiery Wind City. It only took them a little more than 2 days to return to Fiery Wind City. Roar! Walking on the streets of Fiery Wind City, the Dark Blood Wolf let out a long howl, which frightened everyone on the street. What a terrifying demonic beast! Let's go! Go and get the experts of the Lu family to suppress it. The demonic beasts have entered the city. No, look, isn't that the young master of the Lu family, Lu Ming? It's him, it's really him. There was an uproar nearby. The others kept their distance from Lu Ming, afraid that they would be bitten to death by the Dark Blood Wolf. Bang! Lu Ming slapped the Dark Blood Wolf's neck, almost causing it to fall to the ground. What are you shouting for? Be good. Lu Ming berated. Ooh. The Dark Blood Wolf barked like a domestic dog, extremely well behaved. The people nearby were dumbfounded. Chapter 73. Chapter 73. Returning home, bandits attacking. The Dark Blood Wolf followed behind Lu Ming like a puppy. Soon, they arrived at the Lu clan's residence. Who's there? It's the young master, it's the young master. The guard in front of the Lu clan's estate shouted, but he immediately reacted and shouted. Young master is back. Young master, please come in. The guard hurriedly said. Lu Ming smiled and nodded. He led the Dark Blood Wolf into the Lu residence. Good day, young master. The young master is back. The young master is back. After entering the Lu family, the people of the Lu family greeted Lu Ming respectfully when they saw him. Then, the news spread quickly throughout the Lu family. Young master is so powerful, he actually brought such a powerful demonic beast. That's right. I feel that this demonic beast is even scarier than many of the elders. It's actually so well behaved in front of the young master. Of course, the young master is a disciple of the mystical sword sect. Some of the Lu family's servants looked at Lu Ming from afar, especially at the dark blood wolf. They were in a heated discussion, their faces full of respect. Lu Ming smiled bitterly and touched his nose. He had just caught a dark blood wolf as a means of transportation. He did not expect it to cause such a big commotion. Very soon, Lu Ming arrived at the main residence. At the main residence's entrance, Li Ping was already looking forward to it. She had obviously heard the news. Ming, oh. At the sight of Lu Ming, Li Ping's face broke into a happy smile. Mother, I've come back to see you. Lu Ming said affectionately. Then he patted the dark blood wolf's neck and said, obediently lie down at the door and don't move. Otherwise, I'll kill you to go with my wine. Ooh. The dark blood wolf howled pitifully a few times before lying on the ground obediently. Li Ping and the maidservants behind her were dumbfounded. Mother, let's go in and talk. Lu Ming said. Good. Li Ping said. There was a stone table in the main residence's courtyard. At this moment, Li Ping's maidservant had already set up desserts and brewed tea. Ming, how have you been? Li Ping asked with concern. Looking at Li Ping's concerned eyes, Lu Ming's heart felt warm. Do you think I've become stronger? After he finished speaking, he even gestured with his arms. Look at how smug you are. Li Ping laughed and scolded him. Then she changed her tone and asked, Ming, where's Qiuyu? Didn't you come back together? Lu Ming smiled and said, Mother, how's Qiuyu doing? She's a genius disciple of the mystical sword sect now. Lu Ming briefly explained what had happened to them during this period. Of course, Lu Ming did not mention anything that was dangerous to Li Ping so that she would not worry. I didn't expect Qiuyu to have such talent. I'm really happy for her. Upon hearing that Qiuyu had joined the mystical sword sect's most mysterious and powerful Qilin Hall, Li Ping was also very happy. Qiuyu had followed her for many years and she had treated Qiuyu like her own daughter. Now that Qiuyu had become successful, he was naturally happy. The mother and son continued to chat. Roar! Suddenly, a loud roar came from outside the door. It was the roar of the dark blood wolf. Young master, it's us. Then an old voice was heard. The core elder of the Elder Council. Lu Ming's expression changed. He quickly got up and walked out of the door. At that moment, the dark blood wolf was standing at the door. Its red fur stood on end as it glared at the 5 old men. These 5 old men were the core elders of the Elder Council. What are you doing? Get down. Lu Ming slapped the dark blood wolf again. The dark blood wolf whimpered and obediently lay on the ground again. Young master, is this your war beast? It's so powerful. I'm afraid it's a Class 2 second level demonic beast. A core elder said as he looked at the dark blood wolf with a hint of fear in his eyes. A second grade second level demonic beast was equivalent to a second grade master realm. In the Lu clan, most of the elders were only at the first grade master realm. Only a small number of elders, including the core elders of the Elder Council, were above the second grade master realm. This dark blood wolf could be considered a top expert in the Lu family. The young master actually had such a demonic beast as his battle beast? He was really amazing. A few core elders thought to themselves, oh, this dark blood wolf? It's not my war beast, it's something I caught along the way as a means of transportation. Its speed is still alright, slightly faster than the green scale horse. Lu Ming said casually. What? A means of transportation that you randomly grabbed? The 5 core elders were stunned. Then, they looked at each other in disbelief. Elders, is there anything I can help you with? Lu Ming asked. It's nothing much. It's just that the young master hasn't returned for a long time, so I came to see him. The 5 core elders looked at each other and one of them said. Lu Ming frowned slightly. He had a feeling that the 5 core elders were hiding something from him. Elder, bad news? At this moment, a burly man ran over in a hurry and called out anxiously. The 5 core elders' expressions suddenly changed and they asked in unison, what happened? The middle-aged man glanced at the 5 elders and then at Lu Ming. He said, "The Samophis pirates and the skeleton pirates have come to attack again. This time, they're attacking the refined iron mine in the south. The refined iron mine has been surrounded." What? He actually went to sneak attack the refined iron mine? Damn it. One of the core elders roared. The other core elders also looked worried. "Elders, what's going on?" Lu Ming asked. "Hey, young master, it's like this." One of the core elders began to explain. The demonic beast mountain range stretched for thousands of miles and crossed several cities. There were many bandits active in the demonic beast mountain range. Near Fiery Wind City were the Samophis pirates. As for the Dry Bone bandits, they were a group of bandits that were active near another big city. They were many times stronger than the Samophis pirates. About half a month ago, for some reason, the Samophis pirates suddenly colluded with the Dry Bone pirates and started to attack some of the Lu family's mines and trade caravans. The Lu clan had naturally organized experts to encircle and annihilate them, but there were many experts among the Dry Bone bandits. The leader of the Dry Bone bandits was a 5th-grade Master Realm expert. A few days ago, the Lu family's core elders had been dispatched. However, the strongest core elder of the Lu family, who was a 4th-grade Master Realm expert, had been injured by the Dry Bone bandits' leader and was still unable to get out of bed. Samophis pirates, skeleton pirates. There was a flash of killing intent in Lu Ming's eyes. He was very familiar with the Samophis pirates. His first startup capital had been stolen from their lair. How dare they attack the Lu family? "Let's go. I'll destroy them," Lu Ming said coldly. "Young lord, don't act rashly. The leader of the Dry Bone bandits is a 5th-grade Master Realm expert. I know that you're talented, but you've only joined the Mystical Sword sect not long ago. We can't defend Arslaviers for now. The Samophis pirates and the Dry Bone bandits are small in numbers, so it's impossible to break through." Hearing that Lu Ming was about to charge over, the 5 core elders' expressions changed and they hurriedly advised him. "That's right, Ming, don't act rashly," Li Ping also advised. Chapter 74. Chapter 74. Chapter 74 One Sword Strike. "Mother, 5 elders, don't worry. It's just 2 groups of bandits. I can kill them with a flip of my hand. You don't have to worry. Send someone to lead the way. There's no need to say anything." Lu Ming smiled, looking very confident. "All right then, but we'll go together," one of the core elders said. Lu Ming smiled. He knew that the few core elders were worried about his safety and he did not reject them. "Ming, you must be careful," Li Ping said worriedly. "Mother, don't worry. I'll be back soon." Lu Ming gave Li Ping a confident smile. At the sight of Lu Ming's confident smile, Li Ping's worry was slightly alleviated. Not long after, the Lu family gathered some people and headed towards the refined iron mine in the south of the mountain range of beasts under the lead of a few core elders. That refined iron mine was the main source of income for the Lu clan. Of course, they also had a large number of troops. In the past, the Samophis pirates would not have dared to attack this refined iron mine alone. But it was different now. There were the skeleton bandits. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of horses' hooves rang out. The Lu clan had mobilized hundreds of people, causing dust to fill the air. In front of them, a huge mountain appeared. In front of the mountain, there were 300 to 400 people surrounding the entrance. 2 flags were raised high, one with a snake and the other with a skeleton. "Ah, the Lu clan has indeed sent reinforcements." A burst of laughter came from the bandits. A strong man riding a tall green scale horse blocked in front of them. "Samophis pirates, skeleton pirates, and clowns. How dare they attack our Lu family? They're really looking for death." Lu Ming rode on the dark blood wolf and led the way, shouting coldly. "Young master, don't be careless. This man is the 2nd leader of the Dry Bone bandits. His cultivation has already reached the 4th grade Master Realm. one of the core elders hurriedly reminded. The burly man was slightly taken aback when he saw Lu Ming. Then he turned to look at the dark blood wolf under Lu Ming's command. His eyes narrowed slightly, and a scorching flame flickered. It seems like there's really no one left in the Lu family. After beating up the old one, a brat still wet behind his ears has come. Are they taking turns to court death? The second in command of the dry bone bandits laughed contemptuously and continued, "Your mount is not bad. Hurry up and give it to me. I can give you a quick death." "Give me a quick death." Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He controlled the dark blood wolf and walked forward step by step. "How ignorant." "I'm ignorant? Don't think that you can scare me with a decent demonic beast as a mount. Just watch how I kill you." The second in command of the dry bone bandits bellowed as he maneuvered the green scale horse and charged at Lu Ming like a gust of wind. The saber in his hand was like a violent gust of wind, slashing at Lu Ming. Lu Ming sat on the dark blood wolf, not moving at all, as if he was frightened. "Young master, be careful." The 5 core elders were shocked and shouted. Die." The second in command of the dry bone bandit sneered, his eyes flashing with killing intent. But the next moment, the smile on his face disappeared because he saw a flash of sword light, which seemed to be faster than lightning, slashing toward him. He didn't even have time to dodge, let alone dodge. He didn't even have time to react. Then he felt a cold sensation on his neck. In the next moment he saw a headless corpse galloping forward on a green-scaled horse. Then he fell into endless darkness. What? A sword strike? Behind him, the 5 core elders and the rest of the Lu family were all stunned. The second in command of the dry bone bandits, a 4th-grade master realm expert, was an unattainable existence in their eyes. However, Lu Ming had killed him with a single sword strike. It had only been a few months, and the young master's cultivation had already reached such a realm. This thought emerged in the hearts of the Lu family members. Then, their hearts burned with passion and their eyes were filled with infinite anticipation. It had only been a short while and Lu Ming was already so powerful. What realm would Lu Ming reach in a few years or even decades? They seemed to see the rapid rise of the Lu family. The second leader is dead. The second leader is dead. The dry bone bandits exclaimed. "Who's there? How dare you kill my second brother?" The dry bone bandits roared. A burly man riding on a leopard rushed out of the crowd, his roar like thunder. "Young lord, he's the leader of the skeleton bandits." One of the core elders said. "Just kill him." As Lu Ming's cold voice rang out, he leaped off the dark blood wolf's back and crossed over 20 meters before landing on the ground. Then he stomped on the ground heavily. With a bang, the ground shook and Lu Ming's body shot out like a cannonball. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of the dry bone bandit leader. How could he be so fast? The dry bone bandit leader turned pale with fright. Lu Ming's speed was too fast, so fast that he was shocked. "Die!" The dry bone bandit leader roared in shock. He slashed with all his might, trying to force Lu Ming to retreat. But in the next moment, he was in despair. Whoosh! Lu Ming's sword light was too fast. It was so fast that he could not dodge it in time. Poochie! A head flew high into the air and landed in the middle of the Withered Bones Taoist group. The entire place fell into silence. "Kill!" Lu Ming's loud roar woke everyone up. "Follow the young master and kill all the bandits. Let's charge!" The 5 core elders shouted with all their might. Their old faces were red with excitement as they rode on their green-scaled horses and charged towards the Samophis pirates and the dry bone pirates. "Kill! Follow the young master and kill all the bandits!" The other members of the Lu clan shouted one after another. With hundreds of people together, their voices were rolling and their morale was high. On the other hand, the first and second leaders of the dry bone bandits had been killed by Lu Ming in succession. They were already scared out of their wits and did not have the courage to resist. They retreated one after another and it was a mess. At this time, a group of people rushed out of the Lu family's refined iron mine, causing more chaos between the two gangs of bandits. Lu Ming rushed into the group of bandits. With a flash of his sword, rows of bandits were killed. Every one of these bandits had blood on their hands. They were all people who deserved to die. Lu Ming did not show any mercy. In his hands, the bandits could not resist at all. He was harvesting lives to his heart's content. Wherever Lu Ming passed by, a large number of corpses would fall. It was a one-sided battle, and the bandits had almost no power to resist. Not long after, the entire area was filled with corpses. 300 to 400 bandits were all killed. Haha, the Samophis pirates and the Dry Bone pirates have been annihilated. Long live the young master. Long live the invincible young master. The people of the Lu family cheered. It took a long time before it gradually calmed down. After that, a group of people were left behind to clean up the battlefield. The 5 core elders took a group of people and returned to the Lu family with Lu Ming. The news of this battle quickly spread throughout the entire Fiery Wind City. Countless people were shocked by this news. The first and second leaders of the 5th grade Master Realm and 4th grade Master Realm were no match for Lu Ming's single move. They were easily killed by Lu Ming's sword. It was simply too shocking. Li Ping was the happiest of them all. The more powerful Lu Ming was, the happier she would be. After that, the Lu family held a grand banquet, and the famous people of Fiery Wind City came to congratulate them. However, Lu Ming only responded casually and found an excuse to go back to his room to cultivate. Chapter 75. Chapter 75. Summoned by Yao Tianyu. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had stayed in the Lu family for 7 days. In the past 7 days, other than cultivating, Lu Ming had been accompanying Li Ping and chatting. There were a few times when he almost wanted to tell Li Ping that Lu Yuntian might still be alive. However, he managed to hold himself back in the end. 7 days later, Lu Ming bade Li Ping farewell and rode the Dark Blood Wolf back to the Mystical Sword Sect. After 5 days, the Mystical Sword Sect was already within sight. Go. Since you ferried me for so long, I'll set you free. Lu Ming patted the Dark Blood Wolf's neck. Ooh. The Dark Blood Wolf cried out excitedly and ran away, as if it was afraid that Lu Ming would go back on his words. It disappeared into the forest in the distance in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming smiled and walked towards the Mystical Sword Sect. Not long after, Lu Ming returned to the Mystical Sword Sect. However, he didn't return to the dormitory first. Instead, he went to the Hall of Missions. He had to hand in the mission first. He walked into the Mission Palace Hall and came to a counter. "Junior brother, are you here to accept the mission or to submit it?" A pretty young woman asked from behind the counter. "I'm here to hand in my mission." Lu Ming passed a mission card to the young lady. It was the Blood Reiki Flowers mission. As for the Zhu family's escort mission, since the Zhu family had already been destroyed, there was naturally no need to hand it in. Blood Flower mission? I wonder how many Blood Reiki flowers you've collected? The young woman asked. She knew that this task was not easy to do. It was not easy to collect the Blood Reiki flowers. Not only did they have to go to the Dark Blood Mountain, but they also only needed 100 contribution points to collect one. It would take too long to go back and forth. It was not worth it at all. Therefore, not many people accepted it. She was rather curious about how many flowers Lu Ming could collect. "Senior sister, please check." Lu Ming waved his hand and a huge pile of Blood Reiki flowers appeared on the counter. So many? The young woman looked at the Blood Reiki flower on the counter and was stunned. Her small mouth was wide open. She had never expected that Lu Ming would be able to collect so many Blood Reiki flowers. The pile of Blood Reiki flowers also attracted the attention of a large number of people nearby. So many Blood Reiki flowers. Who is this person? You don't even know this year's Rookie King? So it's him. He's so lucky to have found so many Blood Reiki flowers. You're indeed very lucky. Envious voices could be heard from all around. Can you help me check? Lu Ming stretched out his hand and waved it in front of the young woman's eyes. Okay. The young woman came to her senses and quickly helped Lu Ming to count. There are 55 blood Reiki flowers in total. Each one costs 100 contribution points. That's 5,500 contribution points in total. The young woman said, her eyes revealing a light of envy. 5,500 contribution points. She didn't know how long it would take for her to earn that much. Lu Ming nodded and passed his identity jade card to the young lady. After a while, Lu Ming's identity jade card had an additional 5,500 contribution points. After handing in the mission, Lu Ming did not stop and went straight to his dormitory. Lu Ming did not notice that there were two young men outside the mission's hall who had been watching him leave. Lu Ming is back. Hurry back and report to senior brother Yao Tianyu. Let's go. A moment later, Lu Ming returned to the dormitory. He realized that Pang Shi and Hua Qi were not around. Lu Ming guessed that Pang Shi and Hua Qi were most likely cultivating somewhere else or doing missions. Lu Ming did not think much of it. He walked into the room, sat cross-legged, and began to cultivate the true war dragon technique. After a few days of cultivation, Lu Ming's cultivation had already been completely consolidated. He was now fully focused on advancing towards the middle stage of the 7th grade Master Realm. 3 hours later, Lu Ming finally ended his cultivation. Bang! At this moment, there was a loud crash from the door of the courtyard outside. It seemed to have been kicked open. It's not Pang Shi or Hua Qi. Lu Ming's heart stirred. If it were Pang Shi or Hua Qi, they would not have kicked the door in like this. Lu Ming got up and walked out of the room. He saw two young men walking in from outside. Lu Ming, it's good that you're here. A young man in a red robe sneered when he saw Lu Ming. Who are you? Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. We are the Azure Dragon Hall's disciples. Senior brother Yao Tianyu is summoning you. Hurry up and bring the dark bloodstone to the Azure Dragon Hall and meet him. The red-robed young man said coldly. His tone was filled with arrogance and a commanding tone. Yao Tianyu. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. He suddenly remembered. Wasn't he the Yao Tianyu on the bronze list that the Azure Dragon Hall disciples had mentioned on the Dark Blood Mountain? He was really in a hurry. Lu Ming had just returned and he was already here. And it was a summon? She wanted him to meet her. The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He replied indifferently with two words, I'm not free. What? Not free? Senior brother Yao Tianyu has summoned you. Even if you have a serious matter to deal with, you have to put it down. Quickly take the dark blood stone and come with us. The red-robed youth berated. He still had a haughty expression. Yao Tianyu, what the hell are you talking about? I told you, I'm not free. Get lost. Lu Ming's face darkened and he said coldly. What? You're courting death, you? Get lost. Before the red-robed young man could say anything else, Lu Ming let out a furious roar and charged forward, his fists blasting out. Bang! Bang! The two young men were also 7th grade Master Realm, but they were no match for Lu Ming. They were sent flying out of the door and landed heavily on the ground. Lu Ming looked down at the two of them and said coldly, I told you to get lost. If you don't, I don't mind throwing the two of you off the Vermilion Bird Peak. Lu Ming, don't be so arrogant. Just you wait. You won't have a good end for offending senior brother Yao Tianyu. The red-robed young man shouted loudly, and then fled with the other man. The bronze ranking. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He didn't know much about the bronze list, but he knew that anyone who could be on the bronze list was a super genius. The highest cultivation level of a bronze disciple was the 9th grade Master Realm. Once they broke through to the Great Martial Master Realm, as long as they were not too old, they would be promoted to a Esilavir disciple. The geniuses on the bronze list were all at the peak of the 9th grade Master Realm. Moreover, they weren't ordinary peak 9th grade Master Realm experts. They were all geniuses with extremely powerful combat strength. It was said that an ordinary 9th grade master couldn't even last one move against a genius on the bronze list. The geniuses on the bronze list were all unrivaled in the same realm, and they could even fight against those of a higher realm. To the current Lu Ming, he was undefeatable. Lu Ming returned to his room and started to think. My martial arts skills are too weak now. I have to practice the fire gun chant as soon as possible. But before that, I need to practice the basic gun skills. Lu Ming pondered. No matter what weapon one cultivated, one would need a foundation. Lu Ming had never cultivated a spear technique before. Without a foundation, it was impossible for him to cultivate a black-level low-quality spear technique the moment he started. One had to have a solid foundation for the spear technique in order to cultivate a profound spear technique. Chapter 76. Chapter 76. Chapter 76. A man has his own actions and his own faults. The basic usage of the spear was mainly divided into 6 types. It was called the spear 6 words formula: collapse, pole, press, cover, pick, and stab. Only by mastering these 6 basic techniques would he be able to cultivate a more profound spear technique. Immediately, Lu Ming picked up Zhu Bing's spear in the Supreme Shrine and began to cultivate. Whoosh! The long spear turned into a dot and stabbed forward. Then, with a sweep, the long spear turned into a moon shadow and swept out. In this way, Lu Ming practiced the 6-word formula of the basic spearmanship over and over again. In an extremely spacious and luxurious courtyard of the Azure Dragon Court, Yao Tianyu sat in the upper part of the living room with a golden saber. A few people were reporting news to him. 2 of them were the 2 people who went to summon Lu Ming previously. Senior brother Yao, that Lu Ming is too arrogant. He doesn't respect senior brother Yao at all. The red-robe youth said, Lu Ming, do you really think of yourself as the number 1 person? You dare to ignore me? I will make you regret it. Yao Tianyu's eyes were cold. Senior brother Yao, Lu Ming is a disciple of the Vermilion Bird Hall. If he's hiding in the Vermilion Bird Hall, it'll be hard to deal with him. Another young man said with a frown. Do you have any ideas? Yao Tianyu asked. At this time, a shrewd young man rolled his eyes and said, Senior brother Yao, I have an idea that can force Lu Ming to show himself or even make him take the initiative to attack. Then, we can take Lu Ming down with a legitimate reason. The man immediately revealed his plan. All right, let's do that. Yao Tianyu laughed out loud. In the Supreme Shrine, Lu Ming had been practicing the 6 words long spear formula. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. I'm still not stable enough. I didn't have any foundation in spear techniques in the past, so my cultivation was too slow. Lu Ming sighed secretly. Also, although this spear is a spiritual weapon of upper 2nd level, its body isn't soft enough. Looks like I'll need to buy a new one in the future. Lu Ming looked at the long spear in his hands and thought to himself. The spear was mainly divided into the spearhead and the spear body. However, the most important thing was still the spear body. The spear body needed to be both hard and soft. It had to be hard and heavy, yet it had to be soft and elastic to a certain extent. Only then could the true might of the spear technique be unleashed. Zhu Bing's spear was called the fire pattern spear. The spear body was made of fire pattern iron and the tip of the spear was made of dark iron essence. It was considered a good upper 2nd level spiritual weapon, but Lu Ming was not satisfied. Although fire-patterned iron had a certain degree of elasticity, it was still not enough. At this moment, Lu Ming's expression changed. He realized that there was a commotion outside. With a thought, Lu Ming left the Supreme Shrine, opened the door, and walked out. In the courtyard, a group of people walked in. Hua Qi was among them. However, at this time, his face was bruised and swollen. He and the others carried a person in. Be careful, you guys be careful. Hua Qi called out. Lu Ming frowned slightly. He walked forward and asked, Hua Qi, what happened? And who injured you? Lu Ming, you're back. Hua Qi was slightly taken aback when he saw Lu Ming. Then he dodged his gaze and said, "I'm fine. I just accidentally fell while doing a mission." Fell down? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He then looked at the person who was being carried in by the crowd. At first glance, his eyes suddenly narrowed. This person was none other than Pang Shi. At this moment, Pang Shi's face was deathly pale, and his eyes were tightly shut. He had already fallen unconscious. "What's going on?" Lu Ming's expression darkened as he asked. There was a moment of silence, and no one spoke. Lu Ming's face darkened as he searched Pang Shi's body. The more he fumbled, the gloomier Lu Ming's expression became. The bones in his 2 legs were broken into several pieces, the bones in his arms were broken, and 3 of his ribs were broken. What was more serious was that his internal organs had also suffered considerable damage. This was clearly a heavy blow. Such a ruthless method. With such a serious injury, a single mistake could affect his future martial Dao path. In more serious cases, he might even be crippled. "Speak, what happened?" Lu Ming's voice was extremely cold. "Lu Ming, it's really fine. It's all our own fault," Hua Qi said through gritted teeth. "What caused this?" Lu Ming continued to ask. "Hua Qi, don't hide it anymore. If you don't tell me, I'll tell you." At this time, another young man shouted. The young man was called Lu Qi. Actually, Lu Ming had some impression of these young people. They were the new disciples of the Vermilion Bird Hall this year. "Lu Qi, you can't say," Hua Qi called out. "Hua Qi, shut up." Lu Ming shouted and then looked at Lu Qi. "Speak." Lu Qi gritted his teeth. Senior brother Lu Ming, Pang Shi, was beaten up. He was beaten up by the people from the Star and Moon Alliance. Star-Moon Alliance. Lu Ming frowned. He had never heard of the Star-Moon Alliance. Senior brother Lu Ming, the Star-Moon Alliance is a force formed by some of the Azure Dragon Hall's disciples. They have built a Star-Moon Tower in the trading area, which specializes in buying materials and items from disciples. The price is slightly higher than if you exchange them with contribution points. Lu Qi started explaining. Lu Ming nodded. The trading zone was located in the middle of the 4 great academies. It was where the disciples of the 4 great academies bought and sold their items. Although it was convenient to exchange at the contribution palace, the exchange price was relatively lower. Therefore, many disciples would choose to trade in the trading zone when they obtained some materials for alchemy or weapon refinement when they went out for missions. It was more cost-effective that way. Lu Qi continued, "During this period of time, Pang Shi and we went out on a mission together. We obtained some materials and sold them at the Star Moon Tower. Who knew that the Star Moon Tower would be so despicable? They only offered 1 tael of Esilavir for an item that cost 1,000 taels of Esilavir. Pang Shi was so angry that he argued with them. In the end, he was beaten up like this. Even we were beaten up." "That's right. The worst thing is that they're only targeting our Vermilion Bird Hall. The other halls are doing fair trade." Another young man shouted. "I see, so it's only directly facing the Vermilion Bird Hall?" Lu Ming muttered. At this moment he had calmed down. However, the cold glint in his eyes was extremely cold. The other young men could not help but shiver when they met his gaze. "Hua Qi, quickly invite the sect's alchemist over. No matter how much money I have to spend, I have to save Pang Shi," Lu Ming said coldly. "I've already sent someone to invite him. He'll be here soon," Hua Qi said. "That's good. I'll leave Pang Shi in your care." Lu Ming turned around and walked out. "Lu Ming, you can't. There are many experts in the Star Moon Tower. You're not their match. You'll just be courting death if you go," Hua Qi called out. "If I don't go, I won't be at ease." Lu Ming only left this sentence and strode away. Although Lu Ming and Pang Shi had only known each other for a few months, Pang Shi had a straightforward and honest personality. Lu Ming had long acknowledged him as the son of a hunter. Lu Ming treated him as a friend or even a brother. Now that Pang Shi had been beaten up to such a state, he could not just ignore it. Although he felt that this matter was very strange and could be a trap, he still felt that it was a trap. But so what? As a man, there were things he should do and things he shouldn't. If he didn't, he wouldn't be at ease. Chapter 77. Chapter 77. Chapter 77. Arrogant and despotic. Looking at Lu Ming's back as he left, anxiety flashed across Hua Qi's face. He thought to himself, no, Lu Ming will definitely be at a disadvantage if he goes like this. I heard that the Star Moon Tower is backed by Yao Tianyu, a genius on the bronze ranking. No matter how strong Lu Ming is, he can't be a match for him. I'm going to look for Feng Wu. I'll ask her to look for Elder Mulan. Otherwise, Lu Ming will be in danger. Hua Qi warned the others before hurriedly leaving. Speaking of the Star Moon Tower, there was probably no one in the entire trading district who did not know of it. It was extremely famous. This was because the Star Moon Tower had the support of Yao Tianyu, a genius on the bronze ranking. Therefore, the Star Moon Tower's strength was one of the top in the entire trading district. This was because Esilavir disciples would not interfere with such ordinary trading places. They had a higher-class venue. The Star Moon Tower was a 3-story building that occupied a large area. Lu Wei was a small leader in the Star Moon Tower. He had joined the Star Moon Tower for more than a year. Due to his quick-witted mind, good management skills, and ruthless methods, he had become a small leader in just over a year. At this moment, he was lazily sitting on an armchair in front of the Star Moon Tower's main entrance and looking forward. This was because there were still some people surrounding the front of the Star Moon Tower. These people were the new disciples of the Vermilion Bird Hall. These people were the same as Pangshi and the others. They had all been scammed by the Star Moon Tower. At that moment, they were all glaring at Lu Wei, but they did not dare to say anything. This was because they had just seen with their own eyes how one of the disciples had been beaten up by the members of the Star Moon Alliance. He had almost been beaten to death. Lu Wei held a cup of tea and sipped it slowly. Looking at the newbies below, who were angry but dared not say anything, he felt a sense of satisfaction in his heart. Damn it, my materials are worth 3,000 taels of Esilavir, and they only gave me 3 taels of Esilavir. What's the difference between this and robbery? The disciples clenched their fists tightly and roared in their hearts. What are you all looking at? Asking for a beating, right? Hurry up and get lost. Lu Wei chided him from above. I'll leave if you return the materials to me. Finally, a thin teenager around the age of 15 could not help but call out. Oh, you still dare to ask for the materials back? Are you dreaming? Get this straight, we've already bought your materials, and we've already given you the Esilavir. This is a fair trade, understand? Before Lu Wei could say anything, a lackey with a big mouth jumped out next to him and shouted. After scolding him, he sneaked a glance at Lu Wei and saw Lu Wei nodding his head secretly. He was overjoyed. It seemed that Lu Wei was very satisfied with his performance. Below, the thin young man's face was red. He clenched his fist and said, Fair? My materials are worth more than 5,000 taels of Esilavir, and you're only giving me 5 taels of Esilavir. I risked my life to get them, you can't do this. Oh, you still dare to talk back? I think your bones are itching. Do you want to be like that big guy from before and have all your bones broken? Our alliance master personally dealt with that one, so it'll be the same if I do it now. The minion with a big mouth sneered and walked down step by step. The skinny young man gritted his teeth and shouted, What you're doing is against the sex rules. I'm going to lodge a complaint against you at the Law Enforcement Hall. Oh, you still want to complain about us to the Law Enforcement Hall? I think your bones are really itching. The big-mouthed minion's face was gloomy as he walked towards the thin youth. The skinny boy's face turned pale. The other new Vermilion Bird Hall disciples gritted their teeth, but none of them dared to say a word. In the distance, many disciples from other courtyards were watching the show. They were all very interested as if they were watching a good show. Don't come over. The skinny youth roared and struck out with his palm. However, he was only in the 9th grade warrior realm, while the big-mouthed lackey was an old disciple who had already reached the 3rd grade master realm. He was no match for him. With one move, the skinny young man was hit and spat out blood. He retreated continuously, but the big-mouthed minion quickly caught up and grabbed the skinny young man's neck. "You still dare to attack? You're looking for a beating." The big-mouthed minion shouted coldly, then raised his other hand high and slapped the thin youth's face. "He's in trouble." The new Vermilion Bird Hall disciple sighed and closed his eyes. However, the expected slap didn't sound out. The crowd fell into silence. They opened their eyes in curiosity and saw that the big-mouthed lackey's arm was being held by someone. It was a youth of about 15 years old, about the same age as them, but he was dressed in a blue robe and had a slender figure. Just by standing there, he gave off the feeling of being as unmoving as a mountain. The thin teenager was prepared to be beaten up, but he suddenly realized that the big-mouthed minion's arm was held by someone. He turned his head and saw a delicate and pretty face. However, this face was extremely cold. "Lu. Senior brother Lu Ming." The thin teenager could not help but think. "Who are you? You dare to block me? Are you looking for death?" The minion with the big mouth shouted. "Me? She's just a new disciple of the Vermilion Bird Hall." Lu Ming said indifferently. "A new disciple of the Vermilion Bird Hall." When he heard that Lu Ming was just a new disciple of the Vermilion Bird Hall, the big-mouthed lackey's courage was boosted. He shouted, "You're just a new disciple, and you dare to grab my hand? If you don't let go, then kneel down and admit your mistake, I might spare you." "Is that so?" Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. "Trash like you, what are you still doing here?" As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Ming exerted force in his palm. "Gotcha!" The sound of bones cracking was heard. Then, there was the shrill scream of the big-mouthed minion. My hand is broken, let go of my hand." The big-mouthed minion cried out in pain. He loosened his grip on the skinny teenager and desperately tried to break Lu Ming's arm. "I can let you go." Lu Ming sneered. Then, he raised his arm high and slapped it down hard. Pa! It was an extremely loud slap. With the sound of the slap, the big-mouthed young man's body was like a broken garbage bag being rolled up by the wind. He flew out with a whoosh, sticking to the ground. Everyone could also see that as he flew out, teeth mixed with blood spurted out of his mouth. The big-mouthed face collapsed and deformed. Bang! The big-mouthed minion fell heavily on the wall beside the stairs. He screamed and fainted. Cool. It felt so good. The Vermilion Bird Hall's new apprentices roared in their hearts. This slap was simply too satisfying, too satisfying. The big-mouthed minions were arrogant and despotic just now, but now they were slapped so badly. It was so satisfying that it seeped into their bones. They wished that they could transform into Lu Ming and give the big-mouthed young man a few tight slaps. At that moment, Lu Wei and the other members of the Star Moon Alliance, who were standing at the entrance of the Star Moon Tower, had their faces turn gloomy. Chapter 78. Chapter 78, Slapping His Big Mouth. Where did this piece of shit come from? Did you eat the guts of a leopard? How dare you hit the people of the Star and Moon Alliance? If I don't cripple you today, I'll change my surname to yours. A dark-skinned young man walked out. He had a majestic figure with bulging muscles like black iron. His eyes were cold as he glared at Lu Ming with a murderous look. Bang! He suddenly leaped from the top of the stairs. While he was in the air, his body glowed with blood-red light and a huge black bear appeared. There were 2 blood-red chakras on the black bear. With his 4th grade Master Realm cultivation and the black bear bloodline, the burly young man's aura grew even stronger. Like a mountain, he pressed down on Lu Ming. This burly young man was several times stronger than the big-mouthed young man from before. Above, Lu Wei and the rest sneered. They believed that the burly young man would definitely be able to make Lu Ming suffer a great loss. How strong could a new disciple be? However, the next moment, the smiles on their faces froze. Pa! It was still a loud slap. Then, everyone saw the strong young man with an imposing manner fly back at a speed faster than when he had pounced forward. His face was deformed, and blood mixed with teeth flew everywhere. His body fell heavily to the ground, and with a scream, he followed in the footsteps of the big-mouthed young man and fainted. CSI. Lu Wei and the other members of the Star Moon Alliance could not help but gasp. No matter how arrogant they were, they could tell that Lu Ming was an expert. However, since when was there such a powerful master among the new Vermilion Bird Hall disciples? Could it be? Lu Wei's expression changed. He slowly stood up from his chair and asked, "Speak, who are you?" "Senior brother Lu Ming, well done." At that moment, the skinny youth shouted in excitement. Although the new Vermilion Bird Hall disciples had seen Lu Ming earlier, everything had happened so quickly that they did not even have the time to call out his name. Lu Ming? The newcomer king, Lu Ming? On the steps, the expressions of the other members of the Star Moon Alliance changed slightly. To some people, the newcomer king still had some weight, especially 2 months ago when Lu Ming had defeated Ningfeng. So it was him. Not far away, the other senior disciples of the 4 courtyards suddenly understood. It was no wonder that among this year's newcomers, only Lu Ming had the ability and the guts to send 2 members of the Star and Moon Alliance flying in front of the door. Lu Ming, it's really you? But let me tell you, even though you're the newcomer king, you're still too young to cause trouble in the Star Moon Alliance. Lu Wei's eyes flashed as he said coldly. A cold smile hung on the corners of Lu Ming's mouth. Step by step, he ascended the steps and walked towards Lu Wei and the rest. Lu Ming, what do you want to do? Do you really dare to go against the Star Moon Alliance? You have to think carefully. The leader of the Star Moon Alliance, Qin Yueshing, is a master on the verge of reaching the 9th grade. I might as well tell you that behind her is senior brother Yao Tianyu, who is on the bronze ranking. If you dare to act rashly, you'll be doomed eternally. Lu Wei shouted with an ugly expression. Lu Ming's figure paused and he stopped in his tracks. Yao Tianyu, it's Yao Tianyu. Lu Ming's eyes flickered with a shocking murderous intent. At this moment, on the 3rd floor of the Star Moon Tower, a few young men were observing the situation below. One of them was wearing a long robe with stars and moon emblazoned on it. This person was the leader of the Star Moon Alliance, Qin Yueshing. Alliance Master, aren't you going to make a move now? One of the young men asked. There's no need for us to do anything. Just let Lu Ming do whatever he wants. It's worth it for trash like Lu Wei and the others to be beaten up. Senior brother Yao Tianyu and the people from the Tribunal Council will be here soon. At that time, we can seize the opportunity to take down Lu Ming. Qin Yueshing smiled faintly. In his eyes, Lu Wei and the others were just pawns that he could use. Alliance Master is wise. The other young men took the opportunity to flatter him. Below, Lu Wei saw that Lu Ming had stopped. He thought that Lu Ming was afraid of Yao Tianyu's reputation. He immediately looked smug and shouted, Lu Ming, you've slapped 2 members of the Star Moon Alliance. This is equivalent to smashing the Star Moon Alliance's reputation. It's a serious crime. How about this? Take out 2,000 contribution points, no, 5,000 contribution points as medical expenses and apologize in public. I'll consider sparing you. Oh really? You sure are confident. Lu Ming continued to walk forward, step by step. Lu Wei's expression changed again as he shouted, Lu Ming, what do you want to do? I'm warning you, stop right now. However, Lu Ming had no intention of stopping. He continued to walk toward Lu Wei step by step. Cold sweat began to form on Lu Wei's face. He suddenly shouted, Go, all together, cripple him. Buzz. And NBSP, whoosh. Immediately, more than a dozen young men behind Lu Wei rushed forward. Beams of blood-red light flashed. These young men chose to activate their bloodline without hesitation. Get back to where you came from. Lu Ming waved his hand and slapped it. A series of loud slaps resounded in the air. The The Star Moon Alliance members who had rushed over were sent flying back at a speed faster than when they had come. All of them fell to the ground, screaming in pain. Blood and teeth were spurted all over the ground. From the beginning to the end, Lu Ming only waved his hand, as if he was swatting flies, and the members of the Star Moon Alliance were sent flying. CSI. A series of gasps could be heard. The disciples of the 4 courtyards were all dumbfounded. The new Vermilion Bird Hall disciples were especially excited. They were all trembling. So strong. Lu Ming has become stronger again. This is a genius, a true super genius. Xianjian sect, you only see him once in a few years. Some of the senior disciples said with complicated expressions. All of a sudden, Lu Wei was the only one left at the gate of the Star Moon Tower. He was so frightened that his face turned pale. He stared at Lu Ming, his body trembling. I'm warning you. Don't do anything rash. Lu Wei's voice trembled. However, Lu Ming did not look at him. Instead, he lifted his head to look at the entire Star Moon Tower and mumbled, "The Star Moon Tower no longer needs to exist." Boom! Then, Lu Ming threw a punch at a pillar at the side. Boom! The pillar was made of extremely hard black ironwood. However, under Lu Ming's punch, it exploded into pieces, sending wood chips flying in all directions. Bang! After that, Lu Ming moved and blasted another pillar. With the same boom, the pillar was smashed into pieces. Ka-ka! After 2 pillars were broken, the entire Star Moon Tower started to shake and made cracking sounds. Lu Ming, you're crazy. What are you doing? Stop it, stop it. Lu Wei's face turned deathly pale, and he started to scream madly. On the 3rd floor, Qin Yuexing could no longer remain calm. She shouted madly, damn it, what is this guy trying to do? However, Lu Ming had no intention of stopping. The sound of a sword rang out as he unsheathed his long sword. He continuously slashed out a few sword qis towards the pillars at the side of the Star Moon Tower. The sword qi whistled and was extremely sharp. It directly cut down 4 pillars on the left and right. Chapter 79. Chapter 79. Chapter 79 Tearing Down the Star Moon Tower. The Star Moon Tower had used a total of 8 pillars. Lu Ming had broken 6 of them consecutively, leaving only the last 2 pillars. Even with the support of the 2 walls, the Star Moon Tower started to shake violently, making cracking sounds. Lu Ming, you should die. You should die. A furious roar came from the 3rd floor, and then a few figures jumped down. It's Qin Yuexing. The leader of the Star Moon Alliance, Qin Yuexing, has finally come out. Someone shouted. At this moment, Qin Yuexing's face was twisted. She glared at Lu Ming and shouted, Lu Ming, how dare you destroy the Star Moon Tower? Today, I will break every bone in your body and break every vein in your body. I will turn you into a useless person who is worse than a pig or a dog. Lu Ming's means were completely beyond his expectations. He had thought that no matter how strong Lu Ming was, it would take some effort for him to beat Lu Wei and the rest. By then, Yao Tianyu had already arrived with the people from the law enforcement hall. However, he had never expected that Lu Ming's combat strength had far exceeded his expectations. At the same time, his ruthlessness and boldness had completely exceeded his expectations. Lu Ming actually wanted to tear down the Star Moon Tower. This was his blood, sweat, and tears, so he had no choice but to show himself. Lu Ming did not say a word. He only looked at Qin Yuexing coldly. Lu Ming, I don't mind telling you this. I was the one who broke all the bones in your friend's body. Now, I'm going to let you go and accompany your friend. Qin Yuexing's face was twisted with killing intent. The aura from her body was as heavy as a mountain. Late 8th grade Master Realm. This was Qin Yuexing's strength. She was extremely powerful, much more powerful than Ning Feng. Otherwise, she would not have been able to open the Star Moon Tower and control the Star Moon Alliance. At the bottom of the stairs, the Vermilion Bird Hall's new apprentices were suppressed by this aura. Their faces turned pale and they retreated. Lu Ming, I admit that you're very powerful. However, it's still too early for you to challenge me. Today, I'll teach you how to be a human for free. You must keep a low profile. When you meet someone you can't defeat, you must tuck your tail between your legs and behave. Boom! As she spoke, Qin Yuesheng's aura grew even stronger. Qin Yuesheng's bloodline was at the 4th level. At this moment, Qin Yuesheng's strength had reached the peak of the 8th grade master realm. Lightning Claw. Buzz! Qin Yuesheng took a step forward and with a swoosh, she was in front of Lu Ming. The claws that were as sharp as knives clawed at Lu Ming wildly. In an instant he had struck out at least 20 times. However, Lu Ming was faster. The sound of a sword rang out. In an instant, dozens of sword lights bloomed from Lu Ming's hands. It was extremely dazzling. The sword chi whistled, the claw force crossed, and a strong wind gushed out in all directions. The new Vermilion Bird Hall disciples nearby kept retreating. Bang! Bang! Some of the chi flew out and hit the walls of the Star Moon Tower, causing the Star Moon Tower to shake even more. Ah! Suddenly, there was a scream and a figure retreated. It was Qin Yuesheng. A deep sword gash appeared on his shoulder, almost cutting off one of his arms. The surrounding spectators were all shocked. In less than 10 moves, Qin Yuesheng had been defeated and forced to retreat with heavy injuries. Attack! Qin Yuesheng roared. His heart was twitching in fear. Buzz! Buzz! The few young men who were with him rushed toward Lu Ming. As for Qin Yuesheng, she was actually running away. He wanted to escape. Qin Yuesheng, don't even think about running. Lu Ming roared. His sword glowed brightly and it was extremely sharp. Whoosh! Whoosh! The few young men were instantly sent flying. They flew far away and crashed heavily into the wall of the Star Moon Tower. Boom! 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 This time, the Star Moon Tower could no longer hold on and collapsed. Quickly retreat! Some of the disciples of the 4 courtyards who were close to him turned pale with fright and quickly retreated. Boom! 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 The entire Star Moon Tower collapsed, stirring up dust. Lu Ming's body was as fast as lightning as he dashed toward Qin Yuesheng. Qin Yuesheng was severely injured and her speed was greatly reduced. In a few breaths, Lu Ming had caught up to her. Lu Ming, wait a minute. We can discuss this further. What do you want? I can give you anything. Seeing that she could not escape, Qin Yuesheng stopped and started to plead. At the same time, she wanted to use her benefits to stabilize Lu Ming. At the same time, he kept thinking, soon, Senior brother Yao Tianyu and the others will be here soon. When they arrive, Lu Ming, I'll see how you die. I want revenge 10 times, 100 times more. What do I want? The cold smile on Lu Ming's lips grew wider. What I want is very simple. I just want you to use twice the amount of what you have used on my brother, Pangshi. Boom! He threw a punch at Qin Yuesheng's stomach. With a crack, a few of her ribs were broken. She was sent flying and coughed up blood. Next, it's your 4 limbs. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he walked to Qin Yuesheng's side. No, don't. Qin Yuesheng shouted. Stop. At this time, a furious roar suddenly came from the distance. At the same time dash, buzz, and NBSP, whoosh. One figure after another rushed over. The enforcement palace, it's the people from the enforcement palace. The leader is Yao Tianyu. It's over. This time, Lu Ming is finished. The surrounding senior disciples cried out in surprise when they saw these people rushing over. Of course, some people were surprised, a few were worried, but most of them were gloating. The Tribunal Council was established by the 4 great halls. Each hall would select a few people to join the Tribunal Council to maintain the order of the mystical sword sect. Senior brother Lu Ming, the enforcement hall is here. Let's go. The skinny teenager who was saved by Lu Ming earlier shouted. Haha, the people from the Tribunal Council are here. Senior brother Yao Tianyu is here. Lu Ming, you're finished. How dare you break my ribs? I'll make you pay 10 times or 100 times more. Chen Yuesheng's arrogance was completely restored as soon as the people from the tribunal council arrived. She called out coldly, "Law Enforcement Hall? Hee, no one will be able to save you today." Lu Ming's eyes were still cold. He was unmoved. He raised his foot and stomped on Chen Yuesheng's leg. The arrogance on Chen Yuesheng's face disappeared and was replaced by endless fear. She wailed, "No, don't." "Gotcha!" Lu Ming stomped his foot heavily on Chen Yuesheng's leg. The bone in her leg was broken into several pieces by Lu Ming's essential qi. My leg. Senior brother Yao, save me." Chen Yuesheng wailed. Bang, bang. Lu Ming's legs were as fast as lightning and he stomped 2 more times. These 2 feet were on Chen Yuesheng's other leg and arm. Chen Yuesheng's leg and hand bones broke into several pieces. At this moment, the people from the law enforcement hall finally arrived and surrounded Lu Ming. Chapter 80. Chapter 80. What's there to be afraid of? I told you to stop, did you not hear me? The person in the lead was about 17 years old. In a casual battle, he was as unmoving as a mountain. His aura was oppressive, and his eyes were filled with killing intent, like a wolf or a tiger. "It's really Yao Tianyu. He's here personally." Low exclamations spread out in the surroundings. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. So this teenager was Yao Tianyu. "I heard you, but why should I stop?" he said calmly, his face still calm. "How dare you speak to senior brother Yao like that? Lu Ming, what's with your attitude?" As soon as Lu Ming finished speaking, a few youths from the law enforcement hall shouted. Lu Ming pursed his lips and could not be bothered. "Lu Ming, you attacked a fellow disciple for no reason. Your methods are vicious and vicious. You're simply insane. This is a serious violation of the sect rules. Now, you're going to chain yourself and follow us back to the law enforcement hall to accept your punishment." A young man in a red robe walked out and shouted. Then, with a clang, he threw a thick chain in front of Lu Ming. "That's right. Lu Ming, surrender and listen to the punishment." The other youths from the tribunal council also shouted. "I broke the sect rules. Why don't you ask me why I made a move?" Lu Ming sneered. "You don't have to ask much about this. Anyway, we saw you attack and severely injure your fellow disciples. You even destroyed the Star Moon Tower. This is a serious crime." The red-robed youth concluded. "Hee, let me tell you now that I am not guilty. I am only punishing the sect's vermin. The Star Moon Tower used an extremely low price to forcefully buy the materials of the new disciples. Once they refused, they would deal a heavy blow. One of my friends is still unconscious. Why don't you guys investigate this?" Lu Ming said coldly. "Nonsense, he's slandering us. There's no such thing. Senior brother Yao, you have to help me." Chen Yuesheng's cultivation level was high, so she didn't faint. She cried out loudly. "Slander? Do you think the others are blind?" Lu Ming said. "Oh." The red-robed young man turned to the young men from the Vermilion Bird Hall and said, "Who among you saw the Star Moon Tower forcefully buying materials? He even attacked and injured someone? But I'm warning you, you'd better think carefully before you speak. Don't talk nonsense, be careful of trouble coming from your mouth." The threat. This was an undisguised threat. The new Vermilion Bird Hall disciples were about to tell the truth, but their expressions changed when they heard this. As for Yao Tianyu, he stood at the side. Although he did not say anything, his aura was overbearing. When he casually swept his gaze over the crowd, the disciples' faces turned even uglier. For a moment, no one dared to speak. Yao Tianyu's lips curled into a sneer. The other disciples of the tribunal council followed suit. The red-robed youth said, "Lu Ming, it seems like no one can testify for you. What else do you have to say now? Why aren't you surrendering?" Hee. Lu Ming sneered and swept his gaze across the new Vermilion Bird Hall disciples. When they saw Lu Ming's gaze, They blushed and lowered their heads in shame. But still, no one spoke. Lu Ming, what are you looking at? Was he trying to threaten them? With the tribunal council here, don't even think about it. Why don't you surrender? Was he trying to resist? Brothers, get ready to attack. The red-robed young man shouted, his eyes flashing with ruthlessness. A few days ago, he went to summon Lu Ming and was thrown out of the door by Lu Ming. He regarded it as a great humiliation. Law Enforcement Hall? What bullshit Enforcement Hall? I've learned something today. If you want to make a move, then do it. It's impossible for me to surrender. I, Lu Ming, am not afraid of a battle. Lu Ming held the long sword in his hand and stood proudly. His slender figure was like a tall and straight mountain peak, full of unyielding and unswerving determination. Before he came here today, he had already thought that Yao Tianyu might be behind all this, even though he knew that he had almost no chance of winning against those on the bronze list with his current cultivation. But he still came and did it. This was his heart. He would do what he wanted to do and what he should do. At worst, they would just fight a bloody battle. Looking at Lu Ming's figure, the new Vermilion Bird Hall disciples felt even more ashamed. Wait a minute. Suddenly, a voice was heard. The skinny young man who was saved by Lu Ming earlier clenched his fists tightly. His face was flushed and his body was trembling. He strode out. I can be a witness. What senior brother Lu Ming said is true. The Star Moon Tower forcefully bought the materials of the Vermilion Bird Hall's new disciples. They only gave 1 tael of Esilavir for the 1,000 taels worth of items. If they don't obey, they will give them a good beating. There was a senior who refused to obey. He argued with Qin Yueshing and Qin Yueshing broke his bones. He was seriously injured and fell unconscious. Senior brother Lu Ming only attacked because he stood up for us. He did not break any sect rules. So, the skinny youth shouted, his voice spreading far and wide. Shut up, how dare you? The red-robed young man suddenly shouted, interrupting the skinny young man's next words. He then stared coldly at the skinny youth and said in a deep voice, Brat, how dare you? I can tell that you're Lu Ming's accomplice. How dare you help Lu Ming to bring disaster to the sect? You even tried to deceive the Law Enforcement Hall. Your crime is unforgivable. Today, you're with Lu Ming, so you can't escape your punishment. The skinny young man's face turned pale and his voice trembled. No, you can't do this. I'm telling the truth. No need to talk nonsense, attack. At this moment, Yao Tianyu finally opened his mouth. He was decisive and direct. Junior brother, you should step back. Lu Ming waved his palm and essential qi gushed out. The thin teenager retreated into the crowd. Lu Ming was facing the Law Enforcement Hall alone. He didn't say anything, but the unyielding battle intent on his body explained everything. Fight, fight to the end. Let's attack together and take down Lu Ming. It's fine as long as we don't kill him. The red-robed youth shouted. Buzz. And NBSP, whoosh. At that moment, more than 10 youths from the Law Enforcement Hall pounced on Lu Ming. The sword chi, palm wind, and fist force instantly enveloped Lu Ming's entire body. The disciples of the Tribunal Council were all very strong. Even the weakest of them was a 6th grade Master Realm. Ultimate flowing light. Buzz. The sound of the sword rang out, and the sword light burst forth. The sword chi burst out. Lu Ming charged into the crowd. Clang, clang, boom, boom. The sounds of clashing and explosions rang out. Then, a few figures retreated. It was the disciples of the Tribunal Council. They had all been stabbed in the chest with a wound that went straight to their bones. They fell heavily to the ground and coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. The disciples of the 4 courtyards were shocked. Lu Ming was too domineering. Not only did he start a war with the people of the Law Enforcement Hall, but he also injured a few experts of the Law Enforcement Hall in one move. Strong, he was too strong. One had to know that there were many 8th grade Master Realm experts in the Tribunal Council. Let's go together. The red-robed young man shouted from the side. Buzz, and NBSP, whoosh. More Enforcement Hall disciples rushed toward Lu Ming. This time, there were over 30 Enforcement Palace disciples. Kill! Lu Ming roared with an imposing manner. He had his eyes on the red-robed disciple and rushed in that direction. Chapter 81. Chapter 81. The Power of 8 Consecutive Wins. However, he was surrounded by nearly 30 Enforcement Palace disciples. In an instant, all kinds of attacks were launched at Lu Ming. There was no way to dodge. Bloodline explosion. Lu Ming did not hesitate and immediately activated his blood meridian. Lu Ming's blood meridian exploded and his combat strength increased by a large margin. He directly ignored most of the attacks. As long as he avoided the physical attacks of the long sword and the saber, he would be fine. Boom, boom, boom. Streams of sword chi, saber chi, and fist force all landed on Lu Ming's body. However, Lu Ming's body only swayed slightly, and he continued to slash out with the star sword. The lustrous sword technique was extremely fast, and he slashed dozens of times in an instant. Ah! Ah! Screams rang out continuously as 7 to 8 figures were sent flying. All of them were heavily injured and fell to the ground. Kill! Lu Ming was in a frenzy. The essential qi in his body was so condensed that it was almost tangible, and it burst out continuously. His blood meridian level was currently at level 4, and the time for his blood meridian to burst out was only 5 breaths. In these 5 breaths, he was extremely powerful. Whoosh! Whoosh! The heavenly star sword kept slashing out, and the screams continued. One figure after another kept flying out. Bang! Bang! The disciples of the Tribunal Council were like sandbags as they fell to the ground one after another. The surrounding disciples of the 4 courtyards were so shocked that their eyes almost popped out. Monster, isn't Lu Ming too powerful? How long has he been in the sect? And did you guys see that? He actually ignored the attacks. He must have some kind of defensive treasure on him. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to withstand so many attacks. That's right. There must be a defensive treasure. Lu Ming is actually not that powerful. He relied on the defensive treasure to catch the law enforcement hall off guard. Look, he's injured. The senior disciples of the 4 courtyards were in a heated discussion. Although they felt that Lu Ming must have relied on a defensive treasure, their eyes were still filled with shock. Poochie! Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. 5 breaths had passed, and more than 20 Enforcement Palace's disciples had been severely injured by him. They were no longer able to fight. However, he had taken so many attacks head-on. Even though he had devoured half of the attacks, he was still injured. He's injured, kill him. The remaining Enforcement Hall disciples roared and continued to pounce on Lu Ming. Clang! A tall and thin young man exchanged a blow with Lu Ming. Lu Ming trembled and could not help but take a step back. 9th grade Master Realm. Finally, a 9th grade Master Realm expert from the Tribunal Council made his move. As soon as Lu Ming retreated, the rest of the people rushed forward. During this entire process, Yao Tianyu had no intention of making a move. He continued to stand at the side, watching coldly. It seemed that Lu Ming was not worthy of him to take action personally. Beside Yao Tianyu, there was another young man. He was as strong as an iron tower, but he did not make a move either. So what if you're a 9th grade Master Realm? Kill. Lu Ming attacked more than 10 times in a row, forcing the others to retreat. Then, he fought with the 9th grade Master Realm expert. In an instant, the two exchanged more than a dozen moves. Thump! After a dozen moves, the 9th grade Master Realm youth's expression changed drastically and he retreated a dozen steps. Buzz! Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed toward the red-robed young man. Now, it's your turn. Lu Ming's eyes were cold and murderous. The red-robed youth was scared out of his wits. So many Tribunal Council experts and they could not stop Lu Ming? How was this possible? Senior brother Yao, save me. He couldn't help but shout. Yao Tianyu frowned and said, He Tai, attack. Yes. The iron tower-like young man behind him responded, and then he stomped on the ground. Boom! The ground shook and the hard floor cracked. The iron tower youth's body was shot out like a cannonball. Fast, extremely fast. He was even faster than Lu Ming when he used the dragon serpent steps. He was near Lu Ming in an instant. He threw a punch, and the violent fist force surged toward Lu Ming. So strong. Lu Ming's heart trembled. The Iron Tower young man's punch gave him an extremely dangerous feeling. Without any hesitation, he used all his true chi and slashed at the Iron Tower young man. Boom! The Iron Tower young man's fist heavily hit the star sword. In that instant, Lu Ming felt as if he had been hit by a huge mountain. The force was unstoppable. Lu Ming's body shook violently and he was sent flying. Lu Ming flew more than 10 meters before landing on the ground. Then he took 8 steps back. With each step, the floor cracked and rumbled. After 8 steps, Lu Ming finally stopped and spat out a mouthful of blood. He Tai, it's He Tai who made a move. He Tai is a genius expert who won 8 consecutive victories on the bronze platform. He's not far from the bronze ranking. With him, Lu Ming is doomed this time. That's right. Lu Ming and He Tai are too different. Seeing the Iron Tower youth's attack, someone cried out in shock. 8 consecutive wins on the bronze platform? It is indeed powerful. Lu Ming looked at He Tai, who was in front of him, with a grave expression. If the disciples of the mystical sword sect wanted to enter the bronze ranking, they had to go up to the bronze platform and accept challenges. Only those who won 10 consecutive rounds could be ranked on the bronze list. He Tai, on the other hand, had already won 8 matches in a row. He only needed to win 2 more times in a row before he could enter the bronze rank. Of course, it wasn't that easy, because the further one went, the more difficult it would be, and the stronger the people they would meet. But 8 consecutive wins, his strength was also very strong. It's not bad that you can take a punch from me, but I advise you to surrender. You and I are far apart. He Tai said indifferently. If you want to fight, then fight. You want me to surrender without putting up a fight? Impossible. Lu Ming wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and laughed. You're so stubborn. Boom. He Tai charged at Lu Ming and threw another punch. This punch was even more powerful than the previous one. Lu Ming's pupils constricted. He did not take the attack head-on. Instead, he used the dragon serpent steps and dodged to the side. You can't avoid it. He Tai stomped on the ground heavily, causing the floor to crack. He was like a wild beast, charging towards Lu Ming. He threw another punch. It was extremely fast. He could not avoid this punch. If he couldn't avoid it, then he would take it head-on. Lu Ming circulated the true war dragon technique to the extreme. His essential chi surged wildly as he slashed out. The heavenly star sword and He Tai's fist collided once again. Boom! Lu Ming's sword aura was defeated in an instant. The difference was too great. They were not even on the same level. He Tai's combat strength was too strong. Although he was also a 9th grade master, ordinary 9th grade master realm cultivators were trash in front of him. He could defeat them with a single punch. With Lu Ming's current combat strength, he could definitely fight an ordinary 9th grade master realm expert without activating his blood meridian. However, he was still far from He Tai. Bang! Lu Ming was sent flying backward. He slid for dozens of meters before he stopped. Lu Ming spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. His face was pale and his body was staggering as if he could fall down at any moment. Is this the strength of a true genius of the mystical sword sect? It's really powerful. Lu Ming secretly sighed. Chapter 82. Chapter 82. Chapter 82, Persistent Battle. During the newbie trial, he had defeated all the other geniuses and won the newbie king title. At that time, he thought that the other geniuses were only SOSO, but now that he thought about it, he was wrong. The other geniuses among the newcomers weren't too weak. They were just too young and immature. They just hadn't matured yet. Perhaps in a few years, some people would also grow to be very powerful. Capture him. Tai waved his hand and said. Lu Ming was already seriously injured. He did not need to do anything. Let's see how you're going to resist now. The remaining dozen or so enforcement hall disciples walked toward Lu Ming with ferocious looks on their faces. Lu Ming had injured more than 20 of them. They were both fearful and hateful of Lu Ming. Hee. Lu Ming supported himself with his long sword. He scanned his surroundings and sneered. What are you laughing at? You'll get it when we get to the law enforcement palace. A skinny monkey-like young man laughed hideously and clawed at Lu Ming's head. He wanted to press Lu Ming's head to the ground and humiliate him. Badash. Whoosh. A sword light flashed and a few streams of blood shot out. There were 5 fingers in the blood. Skinny Monkey looked at his bare palm in a daze, then let out a heart-wrenching scream. Ah, my finger! Lu Ming, I want you to die. Of course, Lu Ming was the one who slashed her just now. Go, let's attack together. The others roared. There were 10 of them, including a 9th-grade Master Realm expert. One attack after another was directed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming raised his essential chi with great effort and waved his sword to block the attack. Clang! Clang! After a few consecutive moves, Lu Ming's body kept retreating. With a swish, he was struck by a sword and blood immediately flowed out. Lu Ming, lie down and surrender. A young man from the tribunal council shouted. In your dreams. The only response they got was 2 simple words. Then I'll beat you until you lie down. Whoosh, whoosh. The attacks continued to surge toward Lu Ming. These tribunal council disciples were all experts. At this time, Lu Ming was severely injured and it was difficult for him to withstand the attacks. After a few moves, a few more wounds appeared on his body and blood flowed out. Lu Ming's entire body was stained red with blood. His steps were light and he seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. However, he still stood tall and straight. His eyes were still firm and persistent. At this moment, the entire place was silent, and the air seemed to have frozen at this moment. No one spoke as they stared at the figure in a daze. Senior brother Lu Ming. The new Vermilion Bird Hall disciples clenched their fists and their eyes turned red. Their eyes were filled with guilt. They felt guilty for not standing up for them earlier. They all knew that the reason why Lu Ming came here and tore down the Star Moon Tower was to avenge Pangshi. For his friends, for his brothers, to be able to do this, this was a true man, a true man. Compared to Lu Ming, they felt that they were too inferior. Stop, stop. The skinny youth roared and suddenly charged forward. Pa! The red-robed young man suddenly rushed out and slapped the thin young man, sending him flying. He said arrogantly, "Get lost, you'll get it later." Then he looked at Lu Ming and laughed. Lu Ming, weren't you very arrogant just now? But now I can't, I don't have any strength. Come and hit me, ha! Bang! As soon as the red-robed young man finished speaking, he was slapped hard on the face. This slap was extremely loud and extremely ruthless. The red-robed young man's body spun a few times before coming to a stop. One side of his face was almost smashed, and blood was spurting out of his teeth. He was so stunned that he even forgot to scream. He looked at the person who hit him in a daze. It was a woman, an extremely alluring and sexy woman with an extremely good figure. However, her expression was extremely cold. Mulan. A name flashed through the red-robed youth's mind. Mulan had finally arrived. No one could see how she had arrived. Since you're asking for a beating, I'll definitely fulfill your wish. Mulan's cold voice was heard. She then waved her hand. Pa! Another slap landed on the other side of the red-robed young man's face. Blood was still spurting out because all the teeth had been spat out. The red-robed young man did not fly out. He was pulled by a force and spun a dozen times on the spot before he stopped. It was clear how powerful the slap was. The moment he stopped, he saw Mulan's cold face again. His heart trembled and he almost peed his pants. He shouted, "Fu Shao Ah!" His mouth was leaking air, and he couldn't even speak clearly. "Get lost!" Bang! Mulan kicked the red-robed young man and sent him flying more than 10 meters. He screamed and fainted. Not far away, Yao Tianyu, who had been very calm all this while, was no longer calm. He looked at Mulan with a grave expression. The people from the law enforcement hall did not dare to make a move either. They looked at Mulan with a grave expression. Mulan did not even look at the others. She walked to Lu Ming's side and said with a concerned expression, "Are you all right?" "It's fine, I won't die yet. I owe you another favor this time." Lu Ming smiled faintly. "You can still smile? Quickly take this pill." Mulan took out a pill and passed it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not stand on ceremony. He took it and swallowed it in one mouthful. The pill melted in his mouth and turned into waves of energy that permeated Lu Ming's entire body. His wound quickly stopped bleeding. Such a strong medicinal effect. This healing medicinal pill's grade was definitely not low. At this moment, Mulan turned to Yao Tianyu and said coldly, "You're good, you dare to attack the Vermilion Bird Hall's disciples." "Elder Mulan." Yao Tianyu's expression turned ugly. He cupped his fists and said, "Elder Mulan, we're enforcing the law impartially." Lu Ming relied on his high cultivation base to injure dozens of people from the Star Moon Tower for no reason. He even forcefully demolished the Star Moon Tower. Of course, the law enforcement hall has to severely punish such an unruly and reckless disciple. But Lu Ming is insane. Not only did he resist arrest, but he also injured so many people from the law enforcement hall. Elder Mulan, as the chief elder of the Vermilion Bird Hall, I hope you won't shield him. Nonsense. The skinny youth's face was swollen after being slapped by the red-robed youth. He walked out resolutely and said, "It's obvious that the Star Moon Tower forcefully bought the materials for the Vermilion Bird Hall's new apprentices. They even beat people up. Senior brother Lu Ming is fighting for us and seeking justice. How is this against the sect rules?" "That's right, senior brother Lu Ming is seeking justice for us." A few more new Vermilion Bird Hall disciples walked out. With Mulan's arrival, they were emboldened and couldn't hold it in any longer, so they told the truth. "You're talking nonsense. How could the Star Moon Tower do such a thing?" Yao Tianyu asked in a low voice. "If they did, the Tribunal Council would have punished them long ago. Moreover, you said that you only bought the Vermilion Bird Hall by force. That's even more ridiculous. Does the Star Moon Tower have any enmity with the Vermilion Bird Hall? I think it's obvious that the few of you are in cahoots with Lu Ming. You want to frame the Star Moon Tower." Chapter 83. Chapter 83. Chapter 83 Not Qualified. No, we're just telling the truth. The Vermilion Bird Hall disciples quickly explained. "All right, I'm done." Mulan waved her hand, then looked at Yao Tianyu and said, "Now, I'll tell you clearly. I don't care who Lu Ming hit or whose house he demolished. I don't care about all these. If I say that Lu Ming is innocent, he is innocent. If I say he's not guilty, he's not guilty." So domineering, so overbearing. This was Mulan. She was completely unreasonable when she was domineering. Phew. Instantly, Yao Tianyu's face turned red and he almost suffered internal injuries. Mulan didn't play by the rules at all, yet he couldn't do anything to her. "Elder Mulan, even though you're an elder of the Vermilion Bird Hall and the granddaughter of Dean Yen, you can't just use your power to bully others, can you? There are so many disciples here watching." After holding it in for a long time, Yao Tianyu finally managed to squeeze out this sentence. "I'm just bullying people, so what?" Mulan replied indifferently. Yao Tianyu trembled in anger. Good. If that's the case, I'll report this to the elders of the Tribunal Council. Let's go." Mulan's arrival was extremely domineering. Yao Tianyu knew that it was impossible to take down Lu Ming today. After leaving behind a harsh sentence, he turned around and left. "Who said you can leave?" Mulan's cold voice was heard. Yao Tianyu's figure paused. He looked at Mulan and gritted his teeth. "Elder Mulan, what's your order?" "You injured him and want to leave just like that, isn't that too easy? Leave behind the medical expenses? I think it will take at least 1 or 2 million taels of Esilavir to fully recover from this kind of injury." Mulan's gaze wandered all over Lu Ming as she said slowly. "Medical expenses? 1 or 2 million taels." All around, the onlookers were stunned. Some of them dug their ears hard, thinking that they had heard wrong. Even Lu Ming was in a daze. Mulan was asking for an exorbitant price. As expected, Yao Tianyu couldn't hold it in any longer and roared, "Medical expenses? Mulan, don't go too far. Lu Ming injured so many of our people? I didn't even ask him for medical fees, and you're asking me for it? Impossible, I'm telling you, it's impossible." "Injured your people? They deserve it. Let me tell you, if you don't pay for the medical expenses today, I don't mind breaking your bones one by one." Mulan said coldly. He was too domineering and overbearing. He did not give Yao Tianyu any face at all. No, it was not that he did not give Yao Tianyu any face, but he did not put him in his eyes at all. Yao Tianyu's expression was extremely ugly. Although he was a genius on the bronze rank, he was only a bronze disciple. If he were to fight Mulan, he would definitely be killed with a single slap. His face turned green and white. If he were to give in today and pay for the medical expenses, he would really lose all his face. Niece Mulan, in my opinion, let's just drop this matter." At this moment, a deep voice was heard. A figure descended from the sky. It was an old man in his 60s. He was wearing a Esilavir robe and had a kind smile on his face. He was a Esilavir robed elder. Upon seeing the old man, Yao Tianyu was overjoyed and shouted, "Elder Ming, you must seek justice for this disciple. Elder Mulan has gone too far." This Esilavir robed elder was from the Azure Dragon Hall. Mulan's expression darkened as well. She said, "Old man Ming, I advise you not to meddle in other people's business." The people in the surroundings were dumbfounded again. Mulan was too awesome, wasn't she? She called Esilavir robed elder an old man. However, Elder Ming did not show any signs of anger. He still smiled and said, "I have already heard about the entire incident. I think that there is a huge misunderstanding. According to my speculation, the Star Moon Tower is the one who is in the wrong. The Star Moon Tower forcefully bought their disciples' materials. Lu Ming fought for justice and injured their disciples. As members of the enforcement hall, Yao Tianyu and the rest naturally had to question Lu Ming when they saw him injuring someone. This caused a fight. This is a complete misunderstanding. Since both parties have people injured, I think we should just let this matter go." Lu Ming's heart trembled. Elder Ming was sacrificing the war chariot to protect the general. This Elder Ming looked kind, but in fact, he was a cunning old fox. He pushed all the blame to the Star Moon Tower with just one sentence. In this way, Yao Tianyu would not have to pay for the medical expenses, and Yao Tianyu and the others would have nothing to say to the elder of the tribunal council. Yao Tianyu's face darkened, but he did not say anything. If this matter was really investigated, it would be impossible to hide the fact that the Star Moon Tower had forcefully bought the materials for the Vermilion Bird Hall's new disciples. Therefore, it would be good if they could push the blame on the Star Moon Tower. Mulan's eyes flickered. This Elder Ming was a Esilavir-robed elder. If he was bent on protecting Yao Tianyu, she would be helpless. Oh, since it's the Star Moon Tower's fault, they must be severely punished. Otherwise, the disciples of the 4 courtyards will not be convinced. Mulan's eyes flickered before she smiled. Of course. The Star Moon Tower will definitely punish them severely. All the materials will also be returned. Elder Ming smiled, then said to Yao Tianyu, Tianyu, why haven't you brought the disciples of the tribunal council back to recuperate yet? Yes. Yao Tianyu cupped his fists and ordered the uninjured disciples to help the injured disciples back to their rooms. Lu Ming. Then, Yao Tianyu cast a cold glance at Lu Ming, turned around, and left. Yao Tianyu. Lu Ming suddenly called out. Yao Tianyu stopped in his tracks. He turned around and glared at Lu Ming coldly. Lu Ming's eyes glowed as he stared at Yao Tianyu. Yao Tianyu, what kind of skill do you have to call these minions to attack me? I'm challenging you right now. Do you dare to accept my challenge? As soon as he said that, the entire place fell into silence. Lu Ming actually challenged Yao Tianyu? How was that possible? How could he be a match for Yao Tianyu? You want to challenge me? Yao Tianyu retorted. Not bad, yes. Lu Ming replied firmly. Yao Tianyu's lips curled into a mocking smile as he said disdainfully, Lu Ming, I'm a disciple on the bronze ranking. What right do you have to challenge me? You can challenge me after you've made it to the bronze rank. You're not qualified to do so now. Yao Tianyu's eyes were filled with arrogance and disdain. With that he turned around and left. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Are you disdainful to accept my challenge? Lu Ming could not help but clench his fists. Lu Ming, don't think too much about it. This is the rule of the mystical sword sect. If you want to challenge a disciple on the bronze list, you must be on the bronze list as well. Only then will you be qualified. Otherwise, you don't have the right to challenge them. Seeing this, Mulan started explaining to Lu Ming. I see. Lu Ming muttered. However, Yao Tianyu's condescending and disdainful look just now could not be removed from Lu Ming's mind. The bronze ranking? I'll get there soon. Yao Tianyu, just you wait. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with determination. Lu Ming, are you all right? Lu Ming, how are you? Only then did Feng Wu and Hua Qi arrive, panting. Chapter 84. Chapter 84, Healing. I'm fine. Lu Ming smiled. However, the two of them still looked at Lu Ming in shock. This was because Lu Ming was completely drenched in blood. He looked like a man made of blood. Hua Qi, in particular, had a complicated look in his eyes besides shock. He was touched and admired. By the way, how's Pangshi? Lu Ming asked with some worry. He's fine. The alchemist has already set his bones back and fed him some healing pills. He should be fine. Hua Qi said. That's good. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Suddenly, his body swayed and his face turned pale. Lu Ming, what's wrong? Mulan, Feng Wu, and Hua Qi were all shocked. It seems that I have to recuperate on the spot, Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Lu Ming immediately sat cross-legged and circulated the true war dragon technique to begin healing. Detestable! Hua Qi growled. Lu Ming could not even go back to recuperate, which showed the severity of his injuries. After that, Hua Qi, Feng Wu, and Mulan all stood close to Lu Ming to protect him. The surrounding onlookers watched for a while before leaving. The news of this battle spread like wildfire throughout the entire mystical sword sect. After hearing this news, everyone had different reactions. Some people scoffed and thought that Lu Ming was a reckless man who did things impulsively and did not care about the consequences. It was unwise to fight even though he knew that he was no match. However, some people were full of praise for Lu Ming. They felt that Lu Ming was loyal, had a firm path of martial arts, and had an indomitable will to advance bravely. On the path of martial arts, one should be fearless and attack when needed. If one had to look around, even be afraid of the slightest thing, and swallow one's anger, then what was the point of practicing martial arts and cultivation? Anyway, there were all kinds of theories. Of course, Lu Ming was unaware of this. He was fully focused on healing his injuries. The healing process took 6 hours. When Lu Ming opened his eyes, it was already evening. Lu Ming, are you feeling better? Mulan was the first to notice that Lu Ming had woken up. She asked hurriedly. Much better. Lu Ming smiled. After 12 hours of healing, his injuries had basically stabilized. As long as he could hold on for a while, he would be completely healed. Feng Wu and Hua Qi hurried to Lu Ming's side. Lu Ming's heart was filled with warmth. He knew that while he was recuperating, the few of them had been by his side. However, there was a skinny youth who didn't leave either. He was watching from a distance. "Let's go back," Lu Ming said. Then he walked to the skinny youth and asked, "What's your name?" "Lu." "Senior brother Lu, I'm Li." The skinny youth said excitedly. "Li, thank you for this." Lu Ming smiled. No, senior brother Lu Ming, I should be the one thanking you." Li Yi said hurriedly. "Let's go back to the Vermilion Bird Hall together." Lu Ming smiled faintly. The few of them headed toward the Vermilion Bird Hall. Not long after, Lu Ming and the rest had returned to the dormitory. After Lu Ming returned, he did not return to his room. Instead, he walked into Pang Shi's room. Pang Shi was lying on the bed, his entire body wrapped in bandages. His legs and arms were also in casts. At this moment, Pang Shi had already woken up. When he saw Lu Ming entering, he struggled to get up and shouted, "Senior brother Lu Ming, are you all right? Don't move, just lie down and rest." Lu Ming hurriedly stopped Pang Shi from moving and smiled. "Don't worry, I'm fine." "Senior brother Lu Ming, I'm sorry. It's all my fault that you're so badly injured," Pang Shi said with tears in his eyes. He had heard about Lu Ming's battle. After all, it had been more than 6 hours. "I should be the one saying sorry." "Yao Tianyu and the others, target is me, but they implicated you," Lu Ming said. No, it's not Senior Lu Ming's fault. It's all my fault for being too weak. Otherwise, I wouldn't have implicated you, Senior Lu Ming," Pang Shi said. His eyes were filled with self-blame and determination. "All right, Big Rock, don't think too much. Have a good rest." Lu Ming smiled and patted Pang Shi. He then walked out of Pang Shi's room. After returning to his room, Lu Ming entered the Supreme Shrine. The armor of the red-scaled snake is so broken. He took off all his clothes and looked at the tattered red-scaled snake armor in his hands. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. This time, if he didn't have the red-scaled snake armor as a layer of protection, he would have been more seriously injured. After changing into a new set of clothes, Lu Ming went out to fetch some water to wash his body clean. He then returned to the Supreme Shrine and continued to channel his energy to heal his injuries. Time flew by, and 7 days quickly passed. 7 days later, Lu Ming practiced a set of fist techniques in the courtyard and exercised his muscles and bones. After 7 days, my injuries have healed. Lu Ming sensed it and thought to himself. His eyes flashed with joy. He realized that the true qi cultivated from the true War Dragon technique was not only rich and condensed, but it also had a very good healing effect. An ordinary person would need at least a month to recover from such an injury. However, he only used 7 days. A god-grade cultivation technique was indeed very useful. Squeak. Just then, the door was pushed open and Feng Wu walked in. "Lu Ming, how's your recovery? I've brought you some medicinal wine. Do you want to try it?" Feng Wu smiled brightly. "I've already recovered," Lu Ming said with a smile. "Ah." The smile froze on Feng Wu's face. She looked at Lu Ming as if he was a monster. "It's only been 7 days and you've already recovered." "Yeah, what's so strange about that? Don't you know that I'm a genius?" Lu Ming waved his hand, and it cut through the air with a loud whistling sound. He then looked at Feng Wu with a smug face. "Genius? How can a genius be beaten up like this?" Feng Wu pursed her lips in disdain, but there was still shock in her eyes. "He recovered in 7 days, what a monster." "By the way, Feng Wu, can you tell me more about the bronze list? How strong are the geniuses on the bronze list?" Lu Ming asked. "The bronze ranking? He's very strong." Feng Wu's face turned grim at the mention of the bronze list. As you know, you have to win 10 matches in a row on the bronze platform before you can be ranked on the bronze list. It's not easy to win 10 matches in a row. The higher you go, the more difficult it will be. For example, after you win 8 matches in a row, you will have to face an opponent who has also won 8 matches in a row in the 9th match. After winning 9 matches in a row, you will have to face an opponent who has also won 9 matches in a row. Therefore, it is really difficult to win 10 matches in a row. That's why the geniuses on the bronze list are all extremely powerful. They can defeat warriors of the same level with one move as easily as eating and drinking. I heard that most of the geniuses on the bronze list have successfully cultivated at least one black-level low-rank martial technique. Even if they didn't successfully cultivate a black-level martial arts technique, they would have mastered some secret technique, and some might even have cultivated the path of body refinement. Feng Wu explained in detail. Chapter 85. Chapter 85. Practicing the spear with the waterfall. How many people are on the bronze list? Lu Ming asked. 56 people, excluding the Qilin Hall. There are a total of 56 geniuses from the 4 halls who have made it onto the bronze list. Feng Wu said, only 56 people? Lu Ming muttered. The mystical sword sect would recruit a batch of disciples every year, and as long as they were not over 30 years old, they would be considered as disciples. After so many years, the mystical sword sect had more than 50,000 bronze disciples. There were more than 50,000 people, but only 56 of them were geniuses on the bronze list. One had to know that those who could join the mystical sword sect had to go through a series of examinations. It was a sign of talent, and 1 in 100 was chosen. It was obvious how talented the geniuses on the bronze list were. What's Yao Tianyu's ranking? Lu Ming asked again. 51st. Feng Wu's eyes flickered as she scrutinized Lu Ming. You're not really thinking of challenging Yao Tianyu, are you? He joined the mystical sword sect 2 years ago, and I heard that he was a strong contender for the newcomer king during the newcomer's trial. Although he failed, his talent cannot be underestimated. Although he's ranked 51st, his abilities have improved very quickly. I believe that he'll continue to rise. Lu Ming, it won't be a problem for you to defeat him in another year. But it's still too early this year. Feng Wu, since you don't trust me that much, how about we make a bet? I'll bet on whether I can defeat Yao Tianyu in 4 months. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Oh, what are we betting on? Feng Wu said, what are we betting on? Let me think. Lu Ming touched his chin. Then his eyes wandered all over Feng Wu's body. From time to time, he would even let out a sigh. Feng Wu's pretty face turned red. She glared at Lu Ming and shouted, Lu Ming, you're shameless, don't even think about it. Feng Wu, why are you scolding me? I just wanted to bet on a big meal to see if you have that much money. You see, my thoughts are not pure, right? Lu Ming looked surprised. Phew. Feng Wu's face turned even redder, all the way to her ears. She glared at Lu Ming and said fiercely, fine, I'll take the bet. If I don't rip you off, my name isn't Feng Wu. Having said that, he threw a jar of medicinal wine at Lu Ming and left in a huff. Haha. Lu Ming laughed heartily. It was quite interesting to tease the beauty Feng Wu occasionally. He opened the wine jar and gulped down a few mouthfuls. Lu Ming began to consider his future cultivation path. It's too slow to cultivate the basic gun technique like this. If this continues, I don't know when I'll be able to cultivate the fire-controlling gun technique. I need to use external forces to speed up the cultivation of the basic gun technique. If one wanted to be on the bronze list, he had to master a profound level martial arts technique. There it is. Lu Ming was deep in thought when his eyes suddenly lit up. Immediately, he gulped down the entire jar of medicinal wine. It's really good wine, but it's a pity that it has a medicinal smell and lacks a lot of flavor. Lu Ming clicked his tongue and walked out. The first place he went to was the contribution hall. He exchanged the 2 million taels of Esilavir for contribution points, so he had a total of 20,000 contribution points. He only had a few 100,000 Esilavir on him. In addition to his previous contribution points, he had a total of 25,500 contribution points. Then he started to exchange for the demonic beast blood essence. He was going to exchange for the blood essence of a Class 8 Level 2 demonic beast. A portion of 8th grade 2nd level demonic beast blood essence was worth 800 contribution points. Lu Ming exchanged for 20 sets, which cost him 16,000 contribution points. It was too expensive. Lu Ming's heart twitched a few times. He had wanted to exchange for some Class 9 Level 2 demonic beast blood essence, but it cost 1,600 contribution points per portion. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He could only put it aside for the time being. After exchanging for the demonic beast blood essence, Lu Ming left the mystical sword sect and headed east. The layout of the mystical sword sect was rather peculiar. The 4 halls occupied the 4 most majestic mountains in the north, south, east, and west. The central region was an even wider region. In this area, there was not only Qilin Hall, but also the Hall of Mission, the Hall of Contribution, the Bronze Platform, and other important places in the mystical sword sect. Further north of the Onyx Tortoise Hall was the core area of the mystical sword sect. The sect leader, golden-robed elders, golden-ranked disciples, and a portion of Esilavir-robed elders were all cultivating in this area. It was the core of the mystical sword sect's power. The east side of the Azure Dragon Hall was connected to a vast mountain range. This mountain range was known as the Coastal Mountain Range. It was vast and boundless, and countless demonic beasts lived in it. It was said that beyond the mountain range by the sea was the Endless Sea. It could be said that the Blazing Sun Empire was at the easternmost part of the entire Divine Wilderness continent. Lu Ming wanted to go to the mountain range by the sea. He wanted to look for an advantageous position to cultivate his spear technique. It was impossible for Lu Ming to go deep into the mountain range along the coast. He was only at the periphery. 2 days later, Lu Ming was about 200 miles deep. Boom, boom, boom. A waterfall rumbled. The water fell from a height of more than 1,000 meters, forming a huge impact that shook everything within a few hundred meters. This is the place. I'll use this waterfall to cultivate. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Then, Lu Ming took out his fire-patterned gun and walked slowly toward the waterfall from the side. The Esilavir water column fell from a height of over 1,000 meters, and its momentum was extremely shocking. The closer they got, the more they could feel the majestic power. To practice the spear, the first step is to practice spear wielding. Only when you hold the spear steadily will you be able to grasp the other basic spear techniques. Then, Lu Ming grabbed the end of the spear with one hand, stretched his hand straight, and extended the body of the spear into the waterfall. The moment the body of the spear was washed by the water from the waterfall, Lu Ming felt an extremely strong pressure pressing on the body of the spear. He bent his wrist and threw the long spear down. With a burst of true qi, he pulled the spear back with great force. What a strong force! It's not stable at all. However, this is also a good place to cultivate. Continue. Lu Ming's eyes were bright and determined. He continued to extend the spear, and true energy continued to flow into the spear. This time, he managed to hold on for 2 more breaths before the spear was thrown down by the waterfall. Continue. Continue. Lu Ming was not discouraged. He started to cultivate again and again. Lu Ming realized that cultivating the way he held the spear consumed a terrifying amount of essential qi. Every once in a while, Lu Ming would have to stand aside and circulate the true War Dragon technique to recover his essential qi. Of course, there were also benefits to this. Every time his genuine qi was squeezed dry, he would cultivate and replenish it. This would make his genuine qi more condensed and his foundation more stable. During this period, Lu Ming would occasionally devour and refine a portion of demonic beast blood essence. His cultivation level was rapidly improving. 7 days later, Lu Ming could already hold the spear for more than 10 minutes in the waterfall. However, it was very unstable and the long spear swayed back and forth in the water, However, this was already a huge improvement. For another 7 days, the long spear in the waterfall was stable. No matter how the water of the waterfall hit it, the long spear did not move at all. Chapter 86. Chapter 86, Southern Ridge Fire Field. At this stage, Lu Ming cultivated the basic spear technique and made rapid progress. His thrust was as steady as a mountain, and he could even stab a fly in the air. On the third 7 days, Lu Ming even tied a stone weighing 100 caddies to the tip of the spear. Carrying the 100-pound stone, Lu Ming practiced spear wielding in the waterfall. Just like that, a month passed. After a month of hard work, Lu Ming had finally cultivated the basic spear technique to an extremely profound level. He held the spear in his hand and stood still like a mountain. After a month of excruciating cultivation and refining all 20 portions of demonic beast blood essence, Lu Ming's cultivation level had improved at an amazing speed. He had already reached the peak of the 7th grade master realm, and he wasn't far from the 8th grade master realm. As the 20 portions of blood essence were devoured and refined in a month, Lu Ming's cultivation level was very stable. Now, I can start to practice the fire gun art. Lu Ming entered the Supreme Shrine, took out the fire gun controlling art, and began to read it carefully. The fire gun skill was a fire attribute gun skill and was divided into 6 moves. Fire dance of the fire gun art, broken armor, moon pole, lightning chase, landslide, explosion. Of the 6 moves, other than the move of explosion, the other 5 moves did not have any difference in strength. The only difference was in the way the spear was used. The only difference was in the degree of maturity and comprehension. After observing it carefully, Lu Ming began to cultivate. At the end of the stairs, there was a faintly discernible palace. The sound of chanting continuously rang out, clearing Lu Ming's mind. He quickly comprehended the martial arts technique. Whoosh and NBSP bus. The sound of the spear piercing through the air, as well as the vibration of the spear itself, resounded throughout the Supreme Shrine. He cultivated like this for half a month. In the forest, Lu Ming's figure moved unhindered. The fire-patterned spear danced in his hands, like a fire dragon rolling. Ooh! Lu Ming suddenly thrust his spear. Fire gun art broken armor. The long spear pierced through the air with unparalleled speed, like a bolt of lightning, stabbing towards a 2-meter-tall boulder. At the tip of the spear, a spinning cutting force was produced. Bang! The huge rock was pierced through by the fire-patterned spear like it was tofu. Fire gun art mountain crash. And endisting. Suddenly, the fire-patterned spear shook, and the body of the spear flickered, creating a vibrating force. Boom! The huge rock exploded right in the middle, sending debris flying. I've finally reached the first level of the fire gun art. I've just gotten a glimpse of it. Lu Ming's face was filled with joy. As expected of a black-grade low-level martial arts technique, it was extremely powerful. Lu Ming felt that its power had already surpassed the lustrous sword technique even though he had only cultivated the first stage. After all, the lustrous sword technique had been stuck at the 5th level, and it was difficult to break through. The first level of the fire gun technique was equivalent to the 6th level of the lustrous sword technique. Generally speaking, it was very difficult to successfully cultivate a black-level martial skill without the cultivation of a great martial master. For example, the Zhu family's patriarch, Zhu Bing, had only managed to cultivate to the 1st level after decades of cultivation. Lu Ming, on the other hand, had cultivated to the 1st level in just half a month. This was inseparable from the effect of the chanting. Of course, without Lu Ming's hard work in cultivating the basic gun technique a month ago, it would be impossible for him to master the fire gun control technique so quickly. Then he continued to cultivate. 7 days later, Lu Ming was sitting cross-legged on a green rock, frowning in deep thought. It's still lacking a little. It doesn't feel very smooth. After this period of cultivation, he realized that he was still a little bit short of comprehending the essence of the fire gun controlling art. If he cultivated in this way, even with the help of the chanting, the cultivation progress would not reach the level that Lu Ming was satisfied with. Maybe it's because of the environment. The fire gun art belongs to the fire attribute. I should go to a place full of fire attribute spiritual qi to cultivate, then I can be like a fish in water. That way, combined with the chanting sound, I can improve faster. Where's the fire attributed spiritual qi? Oh, right, the Southern Ridge fire field. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he thought of a place. The Southern Ridge fire field was in the southwest of the mystical sword sect. It was an area where volcanoes erupted. The volcanoes covered a radius of 1,000 miles, and it was filled with flames and fire-type spiritual qi. It was perfect for him to practice the fire gun controlling art there. The key was that that area not only had a large number of fire attribute demonic beasts, but it also produced a spiritual herb called flame crystal grass. Flame crystal grass was one of the precious materials required to cultivate the third stage of the true war dragon technique. This was a material that was more precious than the spirit-condensing fruit and the blood mist rock. If he were to exchange for it at the mystical sword sect, Lu Ming estimated that it would cost at least 10 to 20,000 contribution points. Going to the Southridge fire field was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Lu Ming immediately returned to the mystical sword sect to visit Pangshi. After such a long time, Pangshi had already recovered and was even more diligent in his cultivation. Seeing that Pangshi was fine, Lu Ming was relieved. He then exchanged some detox pills and essential qi recovery pills with his contribution points and headed to the Southridge fire field. On the way, Lu Ming caught a 4th grade 2nd level gale lion. The speed of the wind travel lion was extremely fast, much faster than the green scale horse. 5 days later, Lu Ming arrived at the Lingnan fire field. They could already feel waves of hot air blowing against their faces before they even entered the Southern Ridge fire field. After releasing the windwalking lion, Lu Ming walked into the Southridge fire field. There were no volcanoes in the periphery of the Lingnan fire field. The ground was pitch black, like burnt rocks. Hot air was rising from the ground. Whoosh! Sometimes a gas would rush out of the ground. It was extremely hot, and ordinary people would be scalded if they touched it. Not long after Lu Ming entered, he would occasionally see some figures. These people had a name stone hunters. There were many volcanoes in the center of the Southern Ridge fire field. When these volcanoes erupted, they would spew out a type of or called inferno stone. Inferno stone could be refined into inferno iron, and it was the best material for forging spirit weapons. However, those who would come here to pick up stones were usually itinerant cultivators with low cultivation, and there were even ordinary people. The Lingnan fire field was full of danger. The ground would spew out hot gases, lava, and flames from time to time. Even a martial arts master would be severely injured or even killed if he was hit by the flames. As for inferno, it was just in ore and wasn't expensive. Therefore, those with high cultivation rarely came here. Lu Ming did not stay long in the outer area. He wanted to go to the central region, where there were many fire-type demonic beasts and the fire-type spiritual qi was stronger. That was the place for cultivation. Very soon, Lu Ming passed through the outer area and arrived at the central area. In the central region, the air was even hotter, as if they were in a big steamer. The stones on the ground were all fiery red, and one could even hear a pop sound. Lu Ming looked around and could occasionally see lava gushing out of the ground. This area was even more dangerous, and almost no one came here. Lu Ming circulated his essential qi throughout his body to resist the heat from the outside world. At the same time, he was fully focused on observing the situation on the ground. This was to prevent them from being hit by the lava. Chapter 87. Chapter 87. Disciple of the 10 Directions Sword School. He then walked in. After walking for about 10 miles, Lu Ming stopped. This was because a fierce tiger with red flames all over its body had appeared in front of him. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Tiger was a Class 8 second-level demonic beast. It was a fire element demonic beast and usually lived in places with rich fire element spiritual chi. Roar! The Scarlet Flame Demonic Tiger suddenly roared and opened its mouth. A pillar of fire spewed out of its mouth and blasted toward Lu Ming. Good! Lu Ming's eyes gleamed and he took out his fire-patterned gun. Fire gun art broken armor. With a thrust of the spear, the spinning cutting force burst out and destroyed the pillar of fire spat out by the Scarlet Flame Demonic Tiger. Then, Lu Ming charged at the Scarlet Flame Demonic Tiger and smashed his spear at it. Fire gun art mountain crash. The long spear pressed down, emitting a violent whistling sound. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Tiger seemed to sense danger. The fiery red fur on its body stood on end, and on its fur, there were scorching flames. These flames condensed into a huge fireball in the air and shot towards the fire-patterned spear, trying to block the attack. However, it was all in vain. The fire-patterned spear was unstoppable. With a slight shake, the fireball collapsed, and the fire-patterned spear continued to smash down. Bang! The spear hit the Scarlet Flame Demonic Tiger's head, making a cracking sound. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Tiger's forehead caved in. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Tiger's huge body rolled back dozens of meters before it stopped. It was no longer breathing. Lu Ming walked over and controlled his blood meridian to suck out the Scarlet Flame Demonic Tiger's blood essence. Lu Ming would not miss the chance to obtain the blood essence of an 8th grade second-level demonic beast. In the Mystical Sword sect, it cost 800 contribution points. Circulating his spirit-devouring bloodline, it did not take long for him to devour and refine the Scarlet Flame Demon Tiger's blood essence. Lu Ming's cultivation had improved once again, but he was still a little lacking to break through to the 8th grade Master Realm. This place is rich in flame chi. I'll cultivate the Fire Lance technique here. Immediately, Lu Ming's mind sank into the fire gun control art and he began to cultivate Chi and NBSP. Shadows of the spear were everywhere, and the energy was surging. Lu Ming felt that his cultivation was extremely smooth. There was no obstruction when he circulated the spear technique. It was as if he was one with the surrounding environment. As expected, the environment had a great influence on the cultivation of battle techniques. Smooth, it's too smooth. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he was immersed in this feeling. Lu Ming only stopped after 6 hours of cultivation. And NBSP, hoo-hoo. Lu Ming panted heavily. Cultivating here required him to circulate his essential chi to protect his body at all times. He also had to observe his surroundings to see if there was any magma or flames rushing out. It was very taxing on his essential chi and mind. However, Lu Ming's eyes were filled with excitement. He had only cultivated for 6 hours and Lu Ming could feel that he had made great progress in the fire gun art. Lu Ming immediately retreated to the outer area to recover his essential chi. After his essential chi had recovered, Lu Ming entered the Supreme Shrine again. With the help of the chanting, he continued to comprehend the feeling of cultivating in the central region. Sure enough, with the chanting, the feeling of cultivation just now became clearer, and his understanding of the fire gun art was one step closer. A few hours later, Lu Ming entered the central region again to cultivate the firearms control art. Just like that, Lu Ming cultivated in the central area. When his essential chi was exhausted, he returned to the outer area to recover. Then he combined it with the chanting of sutras to comprehend the fire gun art. Lu Ming's comprehension of the fire gun control art was rapidly improving. In just half a month, Lu Ming's fire gun controlling art had a breakthrough and entered the second level, which was a small success. In addition, Lu Ming had killed no less than 10 fire attribute demonic beasts in the past half a month. 5 of them were at the 8th grade of second level, and 1 was even at the 9th grade of second level. The others were all below 8th grade second level. After devouring and refining the demonic beast's blood essence, coupled with half a month's hard work, Lu Ming's cultivation finally broke through again, reaching the 8th grade master realm. Such a cultivation base was already considered extremely high among the bronze disciples of the mystical sword sect. And NBSP, hoo-hoo. Once again, Lu Ming exhausted his essential qi and retreated to the outer area. He meditated in a secluded pile of rocks to recover. When Lu Ming's essential qi had recovered by about half, he suddenly heard a commotion not far away. "No, why did you catch me? I'm just an ordinary person without any cultivation. I can't help you. I'm only at 3rd grade warrior realm, so I can't help you. Please let me go." Sounds of begging for mercy could be heard. "Shut up, what's with all the noise? If I say you can help, then you can help. It's your 8 lifetimes of good fortune to be able to help the disciples of my 10 Directions Sword School." A cold shout rang out. From the voice, it was a young man. "Young heroes of the 10 Direction Sword School, if I can help you, I will definitely help. But you want us to enter the central region, and even get close to the inner region. It's very dangerous there. With my cultivation, if I'm not careful, I will be burned to death. Please, young heroes, spare me." Some people begged for mercy. Pa! Immediately, the sound of a slap rang out. The young voice continued, "What are you talking about? What did I call you for? What are you doing? If you continue to talk nonsense, I'll cut you into pieces." The other side of the phone calmed down. Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air rang out, and a figure appeared on the pile of rubble. It was a young man who was about 17 or 18 years old. He saw Lu Ming at a glance. The senior brother, there's one more person here." The young man laughed and looked at Lu Ming. "You really know how to hide, but do you think that hiding here is useful? Hurry up and come out and help us scout the way to the central region." Lu Ming frowned. He stopped the essential qi that he had recovered halfway and stood up. "Kid, hurry up and come out. Don't dawdle, I don't have time to waste with you." As the young man spoke, he swiped his claw at Lu Ming's throat. It was obvious that he wanted to grab Lu Ming and throw him out like a chicken. However, he was disappointed. Not only was he disappointed, but he was also shocked. This was because Lu Ming had also extended a hand and clawed at him. He was faster and more accurate than him as he grabbed his wrist. The strong force penetrated the bones of the young man's wrist, and the heart-piercing pain made the young man scream. "Arg! Little bastard, you dare to hurt me? You're courting death." The young man's other hand was about to slap Lu Ming. "Get lost!" Lu Ming shouted coldly, and his essential qi burst out. He swung the arm that was holding the young man's wrist. The young man's arm made a kacha-kacha sound, and the bones in one of his arms broke into several pieces. He let out a blood-curdling scream and flew more than 10 meters away, falling heavily on the ground. "Arg! You little bastard, you're dead. You dare to hit me? Do you know who I am?" The young man struggled to get up, hugging his arms and crying out in a heart-wrenching voice. "Aren't you just a disciple of the 10 Direction Sword School? Is it that amazing?" Lu Ming pursed his lips. Chapter 88. Chapter 88. Chapter 88 Spear Technique shows its might. "Since you know that I'm a disciple of the 10 Direction Sword School, why don't you kneel down and apologize?" The young man shouted. "What an idiot!" Lu Ming was somewhat speechless. Could it be that everyone in the omnidirectional sword sect was like this? Since Lu Ming knew that he was a disciple of the omnidirectional sword sect and still dared to attack him, it was obvious that he was not afraid of the omnidirectional sword sect. He even asked Lu Ming to kneel down and apologize. If he was not an idiot, what was he? With a sway of his body, Lu Ming left the pile of rubble. At this moment, a few figures rushed over. They were all young people. Further away, there were 5 young men who surrounded more than a dozen secret practitioners and ordinary people who were picking up firestones. "Junior brother Zhao, what's going on?" one of the men who was running over asked. Senior brother, this little bastard, he actually dared to sneak attack me. If you move, you have to cripple him for me. The young man from before shouted. Brat, how dare you hurt a disciple of my 10 Directions Sword School? Now, I'll cripple your cultivation and then obediently help us scout the way inside. Perhaps we can still keep our lives. One of the chubby disciples from the 10 Directions Sword School said. He looked at Lu Ming coldly with an arrogant expression. Lu Ming touched his nose speechlessly. This was a disciple of the omnipresent sword sect? Why did they all have the same behavior and look like they were superior? The 10 Direction Sword School was indeed the #1 sect in the Burning Sun Empire, but there was no need for everyone to put on such a high and mighty expression, right? Kid, I'm talking to you. Are you deaf? The chubby young man shouted coldly. You asked me to scout the way in and even captured so many ordinary people. What do you want? Lu Ming did not answer. Instead, he asked curiously. Nonsense, is this something you can ask? Obediently go and scout the way. The chubby young man said coldly, then he threw a punch at Lu Ming's dantian. The chubby young man had the cultivation of a 7th grade master realm. His punch was extremely powerful. If it landed, it would definitely destroy Lu Ming's cyclone and cripple his cultivation. This was the Shi Fang sword sect, extremely domineering. If they didn't agree, they would destroy your cultivation. The 10 Direction Sword School, hee. We'll have to fight them sooner or later, so I'll collect some interest first. Lu Ming's gaze turned cold. Lu Yuntian might have fallen into the hands of the 10 Direction Sword sect. Lu Ming did not have a good impression of the 10 Direction Sword sect. Now it was even worse. Boom! Lu Ming's flame dragon fist blasted out, and his fist force was faster and more ruthless. A punch accurately hit the fat young man's stomach. The fat young man's eyes instantly bulged out. Immediately, he let out a shrill scream. His fat body flew out like a ball, flying nearly 20 meters away before falling to the ground. He rolled a few times before stopping. You destroyed my cultivation? You actually destroyed my cultivation, bastard. The chubby young man let out a shrill scream. You're the only one allowed to cripple my cultivation, but I'm not allowed to cripple yours. Lu Ming said indifferently. Brat, you're looking for death. The remaining 2 young men roared and unsheathed their long swords. 2 sharp sword lights burst out and attacked Lu Ming. The 2 of them were both 7th grade master realm. Fire gun art moon pulling. With a move of his hand, the fire vein spear appeared. He swept the spear across. In the sky, a fiery red light flashed like a moon. Bang! Bang! The 2 young men from the 10 Directions sword sect were unable to resist at all. They were sent flying by the long spear, and they vomited blood in the air. When they fell, they were no longer breathing. Lu Ming's shot had already broken their bones and their internal organs were shattered. The chubby young man and the young man from before were stunned. Their faces turned pale and their bodies trembled. Lu Ming's gaze shifted to the young man with the broken hand. Don't kill me. The young man with the broken hand shouted in fear. However, Lu Ming was unmoved. He raised his long spear. Stop! At this moment, the 5 disciples of the 10 Directions sword school who had surrounded the stone pickers all rushed over. One of them let out a loud roar and revealed his powerful cultivation at the peak of the 8th grade master realm. Ah! The young man with the broken hand cried out in fear and ran for his life toward the 5 disciples of the 10 Directions sword school. However, whoosh! Lu Ming swung the long spear in his hand and it shot out like lightning. It caught up with the young man with the broken hand in an instant and pierced through his chest from the back, nailing him to the ground. Die, little bastard, not only will you die, but your family and friends will also die. The peak 8th grade Master Realm disciple let out an angry roar and rushed toward Lu Ming. Let's see who dies first. Using the dragon serpent steps, Lu Ming turned into a gust of wind and rushed towards the 5 men from the omnidirectional sword sect. When he passed by the one-armed young man, he pulled out his fire-patterned spear. Both parties were rapidly approaching. Wild wave slash. The 8th grade Master Realm disciple roared. He held a huge sword that was as wide as a palm with both hands, and the sword light was like a storm, slashing toward Lu Ming. Buzz! The fire-veined spear shook and swept forward. Clang! The spear and the sword clashed, sending sparks flying in all directions and creating a massive boom. The disciple from the omnipresent sword sect trembled and took a dozen steps back, while Lu Ming's body trembled and swayed slightly. Kill! The next moment, the other 4 disciples of the omnidirectional sword sect slashed their swords at Lu Ming. Out of the 5 major sects of the Blazing Sun Empire, only the 10-direction sword school and the mystical sword school specialized in sword techniques, and the sword techniques they specialized in were slightly different. The sword techniques cultivated by the 10-direction sword school leaned towards being firm and fierce. They were bold and powerful. The 4 disciples from the omnipresent sword school, 2 8th grade and 2 7th grade Master Realm, joined forces. Their sword chi was like a raging wave, sweeping toward Lu Ming. As he attacked, he also used Bloodline Explosion, which was much more powerful. However, they were facing Lu Ming, who had already cultivated the black level low-level martial arts technique to the 2nd level. Lan Yu. Lu Ming's eyes were bright. The essential qi in his entire body burst out and he swept his spear. Boom, 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 boom. There were 4 consecutive explosions, and at the same time, 4 screams. The 2 7th grade Master Realm disciples were instantly killed and sent flying far away. The 2 8th grade Master Realm young men weren't any better off. They were sent flying for more than 10 meters before crashing heavily onto the ground. They coughed up large mouthfuls of blood and were also severely injured. 1 spear strike had killed 2 and injured 2, shocking the peak 8th grade Master Realm disciple. However, Lu Ming would not give him any chance to catch his breath. He rushed forward a few steps and then jumped high up, smashing the fire-patterned gun down. Landslide. The long spear smashed down with a shrill whistling sound. The disciple from the 10 Directions sword school turned pale. He exploded with all his strength and circulated the power of his bloodline to the extreme. His combat sword slashed upwards. Clang! The spear hit the combat sword, and the force whistled out, forming a gust of wind that swept in all directions. Boom! The stone under the disciple's feet exploded. He couldn't stand still and knelt down. The stone on his knee exploded. Chapter 89. Chapter 89. Chapter 89 Extinct Volcano. He coughed out large mouthfuls of blood and fell to the ground like a pool of mud. The spear had shattered both his arms, and the powerful impact had also shattered his internal organs. He was dead for sure. The power of the black-grade low-level martial arts technique was finally on display. Lu Ming had only cultivated it to the 2nd level, but its power was double that of the yellow-grade high-level martial arts technique's 6th level. What? How could he be so strong? Who are they? The disciple from the 10 Directions sword school asked unwillingly as he coughed up blood. His eyes were filled with disbelief. With his cultivation at the peak of the 8th grade Master Realm, he was actually defeated in one move. The cultivation that Lu Ming revealed was clearly only at the 8th grade Master Realm. Lu Ming of the Mystical Sword Sect. Lu Ming said indifferently. The Mystical Sword Sect. The young man murmured. His eyes then became unfocused and his vitality completely disappeared. At the same time, the other 2 8th grade Master Realm experts had also died. Their internal organs were also crushed by Lu Ming. Although the spear technique was not as varied as the sword technique, it was more violent, more direct, and more overbearing. The chubby young man was the only one left. At this moment, the chubby young man's face was deathly pale. His body was constantly trembling, and cold sweat was flowing down his face. Lu Ming walked towards the fat young man step by step. Don't kill me. The chubby young man shouted in shock. Tell me, what does the 10 Direction Sword sect want by capturing so many ordinary stone hunters? Lu Ming asked coldly. I can say it, but you have to promise not to kill me. The chubby young man rolled his eyes and shouted. Oh, you don't want to say it? Then you can go to hell. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold and he raised the long spear in his hand. The chubby young man was so scared that his soul almost scattered. He shouted, I'll talk, I'll talk, I'll talk. Lu Ming looked at him coldly, waiting for him to continue. We came with Senior Brother Zheng. He said he would bring us here to search for treasures, so we came. Senior Brother Zheng said that he had read about an extinct volcano near the inner area of the Southridge fire field in the ancient books recorded by his ancestors. There are treasures inside. The chubby young man hurriedly explained. Then why did you catch so many ordinary stone hunters? Lu Ming asked. Because the area around the extinct volcano is very unstable. Lava and flames will burst out from time to time. The ground will even sink in. We need someone to find a safe way to enter the extinct volcano. The chubby young man was scared to death and spoke in full detail. Lu Ming frowned. It was obvious that they wanted to use the stone hunters' lives to find a way for them. This was what martial arts powerhouses were like. In their eyes, the lives of ordinary people were like ants. Lu Ming would never show mercy to his enemies. However, he could not disregard the lives of others for his own selfish reasons. What treasures are there in that extinct volcano? Lu Ming pondered for a moment and asked. I don't know about that. Senior Brother Zheng didn't tell us. I've told you everything I know. Can you let me go now? The chubby young man begged, but he was thinking about how to ask Senior Brother Zheng to kill Lu Ming after he escaped. Wait a minute, I have another question. What's your Senior Brother Zheng's cultivation? Is there anyone who is stronger than him? Lu Ming asked again. The chubby young man answered honestly, Senior Brother Zheng is a famous genius of our 10 Direction Sword School. He has already won 8 consecutive victories on the bronze platform. He's not much weaker than the geniuses on the bronze ranking. Among the senior and junior brothers who came this time, Senior Brother Zheng is the strongest. 8 consecutive wins on the bronze list. Lu Ming muttered. The division of ranks among the disciples of the 5 major sects of the Blazing Sun Empire was similar. They were all divided into 3 ranks, bronze, Silavira, and gold. Similarly, there were bronze and Silavira lists in every sect. The rules were exactly the same. All right, I've said what you wanted me to say. Can you let me go now? The chubby young man said. Let you go? When did I say I would let you go? Lu Ming said coldly. Then he thrust the long spear and pierced the fat young man's heart. 8 consecutive wins on the bronze platform? I wonder how powerful the 8 consecutive wins on the bronze platform of the 10 Direction Sword sect are? Lu Ming's eyes were filled with a strong desire to fight. Back then, he had vomited blood from He Tai's punch. He Tai had won 8 consecutive victories on the bronze platform of the mystical sword sect. They both had 8 consecutive wins on the bronze platform, but they belonged to 2 different sections. Their abilities might not be the same, but the difference would not be too great. Lu Ming's combat strength had improved greatly during this period of time. It was a good time to test the results. Following that, Lu Ming devoured all the blood essence of the omnidirectional sword sect disciples and found a place to refine them. As for the stone hunters, they had already fled like a swarm of bees when the Shifang sword sect disciples were killed. 2 hours later, Lu Ming's essential qi had fully recovered and he had reached his peak. Then, Lu Ming ran in the direction of the extinct volcano that the chubby young man had mentioned. In the southern ridge fire field, in the depths of the central area, near the inner area, there was a tall, dead volcano. It was unknown when this volcano had stopped erupting, but the temperature around it was still astonishingly high. The ground was red. A few thousand meters away from the extinct volcano, there were more than 20 young men. Needless to say, they were all disciples of the 10 Direction Sword School. More than 20 disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School surrounded more than 30 stone hunters. More than 30 stone hunters gathered together, their faces terrified and trembling. Young heroes of the 10 Directions Sword School, I beg you. It's really dangerous there. If you let us explore the way, we'll be sending our slaviers to our deaths. I have old and young people to take care of. I beg you, please let me go back. A burly man in his 50s kept bowing and begging. Whoosh! With a flash of sword light, the burly man's head flew high into the air. So noisy. You want to leave? I'll send you on your way now. A disciple from the 10 Directions Sword School sheathed his sword and said coldly. The other stone hunters suddenly kept quiet out of fear and did not dare to speak again. However, the look of despair on their faces became even more intense. You, hurry up and scout the way. If you're lucky enough to walk past, you can still keep your dog life. A disciple from the 10 Directions Sword sect pointed at a dark-skinned man. The burly man's eyes were filled with despair, and his body trembled. If you don't want to go, then die now. The disciple from the 10 Directions Sword School said coldly. I'll go, I'll go. The burly man said in a trembling voice. Then he walked out while trembling. If they went out to explore, they might still have a way out. If they didn't go, they would die. This burly man must have cultivated martial arts, but he had not awakened his bloodline. He was only at the first-grade warrior realm. He walked forward carefully, and soon he had walked more than 200 meters. Suddenly, a stream of lava rushed out from the ground and directly submerged the burly man. The burly man screamed and turned into a ball of fire. In a few breaths, he was turned into a pile of charcoal. The temperature of the lava was terrifyingly high. Chapter 90. Chapter 90. The weak are like ants. A living person was instantly turned into charcoal. This scene was truly terrifying. When the other stone hunters saw this, they were so scared that they couldn't stop trembling. However, the disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School were very calm, even cold. Mark the places you just passed. Among the 10 Directions Sword sect disciples, a dark-skinned young man with a cold expression ordered. This cold-looking young man was the Shifang Sword sect's senior brother Jianghu. He didn't even look at the stone hunters. In his eyes, these stone hunters were just ants, tools to be used. His eyes were fixed on the extinct volcano in front of him. According to the records left by our ancestors, this is the place. I must get the fire spirit milk. As long as I get the fire spirit milk, my physical body will definitely be able to cultivate to the 2nd grade. In that case, my strength will increase greatly, and I will definitely be able to win 10 consecutive battles on the bronze platform and enter the bronze list. It's not just breaking through to the 2nd grade, it's even going to reach a higher level. 300 years ago, our ancestor got the fire spirit milk here. Now that 300 years have passed, there must be a lot of fire spirit milk. If there is enough, it's not entirely impossible to break through to the 3rd grade. In that case, how much can my combat strength improve? Zheng Qian thought fanatically. Yes, senior brother Zheng. The Shifang Sword sect disciple replied. Then he threw out balls of white powder and scattered them on the spot where the burly man had just passed, forming a safe path. Now you, go and scout the path. The disciple from the 10 Directions Sword School pointed at a young man in his 20s. The young man's face instantly turned pale. His face was filled with despair and cold sweat. He cried out, I beg you, please let me go. I beg you. Ahai, young heroes, I beg you to let Ahai go. Let me take his place. He's still young. A white-haired old man walked out and knelt on the ground, kowtowing nonstop. Grandpa, don't. You can't go. The young man shouted. Let me do it, let me do it. I beg you to let Ahai go. He's still young. The old man didn't seem to hear the young man's words and continued to kowtow. Oh, what a loving grandfather-grandson pair. All right, this young master will be lenient. Old man, you go scout the way. A flat-nosed disciple from the 10 Directions Sword sect waved his hand and said, "Grandpa, Grandpa, don't go." The young man's tears flowed down as he shouted, "Ahai, I'm already old. It doesn't matter anymore, but you must live on." The old man warned the young man, and then walked forward without looking back. The young man looked on in despair. The burly man from before had passed through the first 200 meters. It was very safe, and the old man had passed through smoothly. At this point, the old man carefully avoided the place where the lava had spurted out and continued forward. However, before he had even walked 100 meters, the ground suddenly split open when the old man stomped his foot. The old man fell straight down. Then, there was a shrill scream, and after a few breaths, there was no sound. "Grandpa!" The young man let out a desperate roar. The other stone hunters were even more flustered, their faces pale. "Make a mark." Zheng continued to order. Buzz. Buzz. Balls of white powder were thrown out, marking the safe routes and the dangerous places. It's your turn, go up." The flat-nosed disciple pointed at the young man from before. The young man's expression changed drastically. Just now, he cried out. "My grandfather has already taken my place. Why are you still asking me to go?" "Replace you? I never said that he was going in your place. He was the one who requested to go first, so of course I have to satisfy him. Now it's your turn." The flat-nosed disciple from the 10 Directions Sword sect said coldly with a playful expression on his face. The other disciples of the 10 Directions Sword sect looked on indifferently. No, you can't do this, I won't go. The young man kept shaking his head and shouting. The other stone hunters kept quiet out of fear. They did not dare to say a word for fear of being noticed by the disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School. "You're not." The flat-nosed disciple's face turned cold, and he grinned hideously. "You don't want to go, right? If you don't want to go, I'll send you on your way now to accompany your dead grandpa." He waved his sword and a cold, killing intent enveloped the young man's body. The young man's eyes were filled with fear. In the end, he still trembled and moved forward. After the young man walked a few dozen meters forward, he suddenly started to escape to the side. "You want to escape? You're looking for death." The flat-nosed disciple shouted and exhaled. He held his sword with both hands and slashed down at the young man who had escaped. Whoosh! A beam of sword chi shot out and instantly crossed dozens of meters, cutting the young man in half. I've said it before. If you obediently go and explore the path, you might still have a chance to live. If you want to escape, the only path is death. The flat-nosed disciple of the 10 Directions Sword sect sneered. He then pointed and said, "You, go scout the path." Those who were pointed at walked out in despair, trembling as they moved forward, hoping that they were lucky enough to reach the end. But the result was still death. Just like that, one by one, they picked up the stones and went forward to explore the way. One by one, they died in the fire and lava. However, the safe route was slowly being discovered. The closer one got to the extinct volcano, the more dangerous it was, and the more unstable the underground was. More than a dozen of the 30 stone hunters had died in the blink of an eye. At this moment, they were still about 100 meters away from the extinct volcano. He called a few more people to investigate, and finally, a complete and safe path appeared. "Young heroes, can we go now?" One of the remaining stone hunters asked in a low voice. "Leave? Or to?" "The information here cannot be leaked out." Zheng, who hadn't spoken the entire time, spoke. What's the meaning of this?" The stone hunter's face changed. "What do you mean? All of you will die." The flat-nosed disciple of the 10 Directions Sword sect laughed sinisterly. No, you said that as long as you found a safe path, you would let us go. You can't do this. You are disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School. You can't go back on your word. I'm begging you." "No, I don't want to die. I curse you to die a horrible death." More than 10 stone hunters had already had hope, but at this time, their faces were filled with despair and they started to shout crazily. Curse us? You all know that we are disciples of the 10 Direction Sword School. Who would dare to kill us? The flat-nosed disciple of the 10 Directions Sword Sect sneered. There's a person there, walking towards us. Suddenly, a disciple of the 10 Directions Sword School shouted. The rest of the people couldn't help but look over. From the right, a young figure was walking towards them. The figure was about 15 or 16 years old. He had a slender figure and a delicate face. However, his eyes were extremely cold, so cold that it was terrifying. This young man was Lu Ming. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.